Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Action Activate. I am Gazbot, better known here as the Gazbot Knight. Usually the Bigdawg Defender is with me, and he will be here soon, but as you can see, there's sort of an empty bubble over there that's just sort of showing my face. That's because he hit some, I guess there was an accident on his way home from work. Not that he was in an accident, but it slowed up traffic. So rather than starting late, I'm going to start, and it works out because, let me go to a one-shot on me. Hey, by the way, Dolly Girl, hello. I've been having some technical difficulties, and so in an effort to not keep crashing until I get some more RAM for my computer, I have my chat bot turned off. So normally the Bigdawg would be on top of chat for me. Until he gets here, I have Erzuki on the other side of the room, so if you have anything that you're saying, there might be a delay, and she'll shout it out to me if there's a question or anything important. So if I seem like I'm ignoring you, I'm not. We're just having a little bit of issues. But until the Bigdawg gets here, something I wanted to talk about anyway before we get into the regular news and before we get into the episode, which is Beast Morphers episode 4, the new Beast Morphers toys are out. Now in Canada and maybe some other countries they were out earlier, but here in the US they were released theoretically today, April 1st. That's not a joke, but some people got them earlier. I saw there was like what I call the shampoo bottles of the Megazords that are about 12 inches tall. Don't transform. I saw those a week ago. I didn't want them, so I didn't buy them, but I saw a couple masks and things like that, and then MMPR Toys, which is Bruno and Mia's channel, had a code you could use to ask them if they had it in back. So a day or two ago, I went there with Erzuki, and I asked them about the figures. They didn't have the Morpher, but they had a case of the figures in the back. They brought it out. They're like, yeah, we haven't put them on the shelf yet, but if you want to buy from here, you can. So I did. So what I got was, the main one I was looking for, if you've watched the show, this won't surprise you, is, of course, Yellow Zoe, who is probably my favorite of the heroes. And then I also went ahead and got Ravi. Now, Yellow was only one per case. Ravi, I think there's 2 per case, and then there's like 3 red. I didn't get red because, as I've said before, I have the SH Figure Arts, and they're pretty comparable in size. The SH Figure Arts, I think, is a little bit shorter, but not much. They're pretty comparable. The other main one I wanted, other than Zoe, was Blaze, the evil Avatar version, and he's pretty nice. They're all, I think, far superior to any of the Power Rangers toys we've gotten in the last couple of years. And I went ahead and got a Tronics. So Tronics, Blaze, and Zoe are all 1 per case. Ravi, I think, is 2, and then Devin is 3. So red will be the easiest to get, and as I said, I didn't need a red, so it didn't matter for me. I am going to be getting the Lightning Line red, which is the 6-inch. So I'm not sure if these will scale better with my SH Figure Arts or my Lightning Line. That'll be something I could tell you later in the future. One thing worth noting, all the accessories are better painted. With like a lot of the other ones, Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, they'd be one color, and sometimes not black or silver. Sometimes they'd be green or something like that. These are all like gray or black, and then they all have paint. See a little bit of red, and they have different weapons. So as you can see, they both came with the sword, but they have different versions of the gun. So the one is just the camera mode, the other has the baton or whatever it is attached. Again, I'm bad with names of the different things. But so overall, these are very good. They have good articulation, better than we've seen in the past. They have good proportions. They're sort of slim and athletic as opposed to crazy, bulky, muscular like He-Man. The one weird thing, though, is Yellow and Blue, and Yellow has a slit on her skirt so she can kick sideways. Yellow and Blue have this articulation. Blaze and the Tronics do not. It only goes forward and back. So I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe in an effort to be able to produce different figures, like different sculpts, because there's no reused parts. Oh, and it looks like we got the Bigdawg with us. Hold on, let me switch back to the 2-shot.
I am here. Sorry for the delay, Ranger Nation.
Dawg Defender, thank you. Welcome. Sorry about your delay. I'm just going to finish up. I was talking about the figures, and then we'll get on with the show proper. So for a collector, I kind of prefer the less articulation because they're more stable, they stand better, and it kind of makes a nice silhouette of the figure. But the heroes are probably better for kids and people that want to play because you can do the crazy karate kicks, and if you're doing some kind of diorama. But normally I just pose my figures standing up. So it's odd that in the same line they have different articulation on the hips. But I'm okay with it, especially because the ones that we're going to get less versions of, which are the villains, are the ones that are going to stand better, whereas these, there's already 2 or 3 versions potentially out there and maybe more once the Lightning Line hits. So that's that. One other thing I will say before we get back into the show proper, the packaging, which I enjoy. I love the art. I don't know if it's the same artist that did that Ninja Steel art for the DVD, but it reminds me of that. It's a little hard to see since I opened my package. On the back, though, this is what's weird. They all come with the keys. That's the gimmick. they don't name Ravi. They just say Blue Ranger. They don't say his name. They don't say the names of the weapons that he comes with. They don't even show the weapons he comes with. They just have the one sword. So I was thinking, because I'm bad with names, but usually once I get the package and it lists all the accessories, oh, this is the such and such blaster. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. That's a small nitpick. Overall, these figures are great, and I think the best figures we've got, like, in the entire Neo Saban era for sure. Now, that being said, let's go back to the show. And let's have a proper welcome. I am Gazbot Knight, and with me, as always, is
the Dawg Defender.
Welcome, Bigdawg. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your trials and tribulation, or is it not worth even talking about?
All I will say is in California, people seem to be impaired while driving in the rain, and they can't get from point A to point B the same way. So, apologies for the delay. One thing I wanted to mention for what you were saying about the Blue Ranger packaging, I think they had the intentions originally of releasing these before the show came out, which is why they were potentially avoiding spoilers. I know for Dino Charge, I think they accidentally spoiled Gold Ranger's identity.
That makes sense.
By doing it early. And then one thing, kind of segueing into the episode recap, is I think that the original air dates were supposed to be a lot different than how they shot it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense with not wanting to reveal the characters' names, but it doesn't make sense as far as listing what accessories they come with. Now, maybe that's a cost-saving thing because, but it seems like such a small thing if they're going to give them all different accessories to just be like, this is what this character comes with and this is the name of it. Again, a nitpick, but it just seemed like an odd choice because that doesn't stop. That's not a spoiler if it comes with a certain weapon. Whatever. Before we go on, I realize I don't have my art stream. I'm primarily an artist. I'm a Power Rangers fan. I do a lot of Rangers art. And so what I like to do is every show I have some artwork. So I'm going to put up a video here real quick. Let me turn it on. Oops. And that's already in the middle of it. So let me reset it here. So what we do is I put it up here. And over the course of the show, you can see it kind of shows because I started another one, then I restart. By the end, it should be done. Now, normally I do it in real time, and it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half. This one took me closer to 4 hours, 4 hours.
Wow.
So this is 3 times speed, the video of actual time I'm working on it. And it is a little bit of a spoiler, but you can kind of see. It's Overdrive Mercury, and the reason I chose him is because next weekend I will be at Power Morphicon Express in Anaheim, Texas, and he will be one of the guests there. And I try to get some art of every guest when I do a show like that. So enough of my shameless self-promotion.
Taking a quick dive into chat, Irazuki and Dolly Girl greeting each other. Irazuki also shouting out CP3 Blue and Matt Kendall Clare. Matt Kendall Clare, hey Irazuki, nice to see you again. Boofy with some emojis. Let's see.
Are they some OKs?
Bohayo.
Bohayo.
And then Matt Kendall Clare, sounds like traffic here in Snowhio. Nice. Well, I'm glad I'm not alone. So thank you, everybody, for joining us again. And Gaz, what did you think about episode 4?
Well, do you want to get into that and do news after, or do you want to do news first?
The only news I have is that reviews are out for Battle for the Grid. And one that I would highly recommend for those thinking about the game is I believe it's Nightwing 01, but KN for Nightwing is one that I watched that was really helpful. He is a huge Power Rangers fan, kind of broke down the game, and he titled his video Battle for the Beta because the game out now, it's $20 for the base game, I think $40 if you do the season pass. He said it's super fun, but very incomplete.
Well,
so
incomplete. I mean, I think they only started with like 9 characters, but it's more incomplete than that even.
It left a lot to be desired, according to him. It only had a few stages. The Megazord interaction is super cool, but the 9 characters do get old because you can only do so many combos in teams of 3.
Okay. Well, I was on the fence about trying that game, and that makes me think, well, I'm going to wait.
And that's what he said. He's like, I don't have a bad rating for it right now, but until more is offered, it's hard to really give it a rating when they've already said they're going to add more, and this is kind of, if you want to play it now, play it now. And also there's some bugs in terms of online play for the Switch and the Xbox One, but he did mention that it is cross-platform, which is nice.
That is
so being able to play with multiple people if you have friends with different systems
will
be fun down the line, but I'm kind of with you. I'm fine waiting now.
Okay. Well, I do like that. I'm like, do you want to talk about news now, or do you want to go to the episode? You're like, I don't have any news. Here's a whole bunch of news. Well, you did have
Oh,
another news. Well, let me do one, and then we'll come back to you. Because the
okay,
other
sorry.
thing I wanted to mention, and I wanted to pull up a graphic for this, but I was having some technical difficulties. I said there's a new
Mhm.
comic book announcement, and we've talked about comics before. There's two ongoing
Yep.
series. There's Go-Go and Mighty Morphin. Both are worth checking out. I prefer Mighty Morphin, but even if you've never read any of
Hmm.
those, we had previously talked about Soul of the Dragon, which is a standalone Tommy story. Here's another one,
Hmm.
which isn't 100% standalone, but you could just jump on this, and it's a
Hmm.
Psycho Rangers story. So it's all in
Hmm.
space and the origin of the Psycho Rangers, and fully incorporating the Green Psycho Ranger, which you haven't read in the comics. They have created a Green Psycho Ranger in the comics. So I
Hmm.
haven't read it yet. It's just been announced, but I am recommending it, even although I haven't read it, because it's probably a fun thing to jump on, and you don't have to necessarily get all the other books. You could just get this one book.
Yeah, I agree with. I actually totally forgot about that. I'm glad you happened to remember. Yeah, that looks cool. How they're going to incorporate green, we'll see in terms
Yeah.
of timeline.
Right. Without
But
giving
I,
spoilers, he's shown up in the other books, and it'll be interesting to see how they fix that, or not
mhm.
fix it, but make it work together.
Yeah, I have the timelines coincide. But I love the Psycho Rangers, so
Oh
being
yeah.
able to see them more is always great. Um, what was I
Okay,
gonna
so you had another piece of news that you had mentioned before we started about a certain employee leaving.
Yes. So unfortunately, I don't remember his full name, but on Instagram he is known as Shadow Piper.
Hmm.
Was the former now head of marketing for Power Rangers, and he was kind of their brand ambassador. Got a chance to see him a lot at Power Morphicon. Super enthusiastic, really big Ranger fan.
Yep.
Really kind of portrayed that he was one of the fans and had a lot of us in mind in terms of what was rolling out for Beast Morphers, and he had posted recently that due to some changes in
Do do
structure, he is no longer in that role. So
do do.
little uh, doo doo. What about doo
Sorry,
doo?
you said do.
Oh, I did. I was like, when you said it the first time, I was like, did I say it or was I just
You have
thinking?
to realize I might not look it, but I'm a 12-year-old, so.
Well, we all are, which is why we're here.
Right.
But thank you for calling out the doo-doos. I appreciate it. I would have done it if the roles were reversed, if it makes everybody else feel better. But yeah, what was your kind of take on it? I know we had mentioned back and forth briefly on
Right.
it, but
Well,
um,
I know I feel like I'm not informed enough to have a strong opinion on it. This is a person. Again, I also don't remember their real name. Shadow Piper is what they go by. I follow them on
mhm,
Instagram, and I kind of know what you just said, and I don't know much more than that. And
mhm,
it seems like they were doing a good job, and so weren't like fired, but just
yeah,
restructuring with Hasbro. Maybe there's like redundancy where they're like, we don't need you, and we have our own person, which is arguable. Of
mhm,
like, well, why not keep the person that's been doing it?
yeah,
Who knows, But I agree with them seeming to be, for lack of a better term, like a fanboy, which I say with love. That's not as a bad thing,
mhm, yep,
because I noticed that recently they were posting up a bunch of Beast Morphers art where they had taken official art, and I forget the name of the artist. I apologize. Who had been doing a lot of the Ranger suit actor, not suit actors, but suit art. And then they were
mhm,
like, what if there was a purple one? And they sort of took it, Shadow Piper took the official art, turned it purple, and then like modified the head to be like a different animal. And then they were like, just to be clear, this is not a hint. This is not official. This is not in my capacity this is just because I'm a fan. And like you
yep,
guys, I sometimes want to see what a purple ranger would be or whatever. And so I thought that was cool. And it was like,
yeah,
I kind of started paying more attention to them just recently. And I'm like, oh, this is so fun that they're involved, but they're still a fan. And they're like, by the way, I'm leaving. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of a
yeah,
bummer. So unfortunately, I guess we don't know more than that at this point, but it does seem like the general reaction was like, well, hey, you did a good job. Sorry to see you go. And
yeah,
and it does, from what I've heard, because whatever you think of recent seasons, I don't think they had as much to do with that.
mhm,
But they, from what I hear, and I could be wrong, and maybe chat, I don't know, I can't check chat, so that's up to you, Big Dog.
mhm,
Maybe I think they had something to do with Hyperforce, which I'm a big fan of, and some of the comic stuff. And so I think as the brand ambassador, they potentially influenced a lot of the things about Power Rangers that I've really been enjoying the last couple of years, even if
yeah,
certain seasons weren't my favorite. But the ancillary stuff that most people have been liking might be
yeah,
somewhat influenced by Shadow Piper.
yeah.
So if that's the case, then that is quite a loss to the fandom.
Yeah, agreed. Taking a look at chat, Matt can declare the Psycho Rangers were pretty much the best evil team ever.
Agreed.
I agree with you on that. It's sad about Jason Bischoff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leaving
Yes.
Hasbro, but I really don't know a whole lot about him. Yeah, the most I knew was from Morphicon, as I said, but
Yeah.
it just seemed super genuine whenever he would talk to the fans or about Beast Morphers, things like that. So it is a little sad to see him go. But final bit of news before jumping in for those interested in for
You're breaking up a little bit there. Can you repeat that, Bigdawg?
Hasbro taking
Bigdawg
over.
Bigdawg, can you hear me?
Go to Mega.
Bigdawg, can you hear me? He can't hear me. Oh man, we've got the virus. Oh man, is it Scrozzle? Is it Scrozzle messing with us? He can't even tell that we can't hear him. Look at him. He's a digitized. He's becoming an avatar. Is what's happening. Fight it! Fight it! Use the good in you. You're the Big Dawg Defender. Remember who you are. Don't become an avatar. Oh man, he may have completely disappeared at this point. All right, I'm gonna cut back to a one-shot. Hey, it's me again. You want to look at toys some more? Ah. All right, let me check with Bigdawg. Can we get him if I switch? No, he's completely fuzzing out here. Well, that's not my fault. Maybe there's traffic in his living room. Was there a car crash by the kitchen and he's having trouble making it to us? I don't know. If you look above me, you can see that the art is continuing, and by the end it should be done. And if it's not, I'll show you the final. Well, he's still trying to talk. If you listen to him, he's like, dirt, bits. And maybe it's code. Does anybody know Morse code or any code breakers out there? Could we put it together, reparse it into some sort of grand thing? I don't know. Oh, wait, did he come back? No. Hold on. I have a text, and I bet you it's from the Bigdawg. Did my video die or yours? I'm going to real time let him know. You. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me see if I had any more. I think the unfortunate thing is we covered all the news, and I already showed you my toys, so I was about ready to jump into the episode review. I'll give it a few seconds before it gets here. Does anybody in chat have any comments or questions they want to throw out while we're waiting for the Bigdawg to reconnect? Feel free to throw them out. Hey, Airzuki, can you hear me? My assistant. If you could tell me if anything's going on in chat, I would appreciate it, because the Dawg Defender is having technical difficulties once again. Oh, okay. So apparently in chat, you guys are all complaining about his connection. Fair enough. I don't like his connection either. So as I said, I've been having technical difficulties, which I'm trying to resolve, and I'm probably going to get some new RAM for my computer. I might have to recommend he do something too, because this isn't the first time he's frozen. Look at this. Look at this derp. Hey, I'm the Dawg Defender, and I just want you to know that I like to wear hats, and I like to position myself on the camera so it looks like I have a pointy little hat coming out of the top of my head. Look at me. I'm a funny little clown. I'm a comic relief character on Power Rangers, and Overdrive Black is my favorite ranger. I don't know why I turned into Yogi Bear there for a second. All right, let me check my text. I think that's him again. No, we can't. He said, can you see or hear me? No, sir. No. Oh, and there he goes. Maybe he's back. Is he back? Let's see. Bigdawg, one shot. Say something, buddy. No, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Boy, oh boy.
Sorry, for some reason the Hangout wouldn't let me join you. It said I was in it, but I wasn't with you specifically.
Well, that's okay. Chat was roasting you for your connection, and I was making fun of you as well. So everybody had fun.
True. Yes, very much so.
All right. Well, let's. Everything you said, nobody heard, because it was like keep burst. That's good. And I'm like, we can't hear you. And you're like,
it's funny because I posted into chat one of the websites I was talking about, so that's kind of funny.
Well,
so,
do you want to really quickly say it again?
Short version. If
Yes.
you're trying to buy less expensive legacy items, Zeo Staff is on Megalopolis, found in chat, for $48.
Oh,
great deal.
Me. It's a great deal, but it's a great deal. But the Bigdawg sent this to me the other day, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to get it?" I'm like, "No, thanks. I already have the one I stupidly paid full price for." But good, good. Thanks for rubbing that in. But if you don't, that's like less than half price.
Yeah, it is. I think it was $150 originally.
Oh, I didn't pay $150, so I guess I did get it less than retail, but
yeah,
I think I paid close like $100-ish, which was very much a lot, very much a lot.
Yeah, and I remember too. You're like, you should get it, and then it dropped to 48. I'm like, yeah, should I get it? I don't know.
Did you get it? Have you got it now?
I did.
Okay, good. But you still don't have a Dragon Dagger.
TBD.
It's gonna start going up again. It's been on sale at GameStop. Listen, don't be like the Bigdawg. I mean, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. But if there's something you want, they re-release it, and then it goes back up. And they're not going to re-release it again because Bandai doesn't have the license anymore. So if you find one, that's it. They're not going to get cheaper. I mean, maybe you'll get buy it. Don't wait.
I'm planning on it soon.
All right. Anything else you want to say, or should we hop into the episode?
I'd love to hop in about this Valentine's Day episode that's a month and a half overdue.
Oh, is that why you said about the? You know what's funny is you were hinting that maybe they aired them out of order or planned to air them at a different time. Didn't even
Hmm.
occur to me. Did not even occur to me that it's like
Oh yeah.
April. Well, hey, it's April Fool's Day. Oh, but it was a little before April. So maybe the joke is Valentine's goo goo. You know, like
I think the joke is the Blue Ranger, but we'll jump
oh,
into the episode and
harsh.
come back to that sweet burn.
All right. By the way, just a reminder that I need you to keep an eye on chat since I cannot see it this episode.
Oh, I was about to say,
Yeah.
Matt Kendall Clare,
Mhm.
I agree. We think alike. Air high five, catch him back up. Air Zuki, thank you for your well wishes for my internet connection. And then Matt Kendall Clare also said, I think that's about what I paid for the Power Staff Bat 100.
Okay. Well, I'm not
You
the
guys-
only one.
You guys got it well before I did, which is good. I don't even own it, so you already are one up there.
I
So-
guess, but I could have waited a few months and saved a lot of money. But let's not dwell on the pain.
Yeah, I was gonna say the gamble, as you have seen with me in the past,
It
is
could go the other
very
way.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Digital Deception, our timely Valentine's Day episode,
Mhm.
and we start with our comic relief, Ben and Betty coming in. And
Mhm.
they have all these Valentine's presents for the Rangers, which is kind of makes sense because they're like superhero celebrities, so that didn't bother me at all. And then they see a bee, and we get into some more lovely face acting, where he obsesses. He's like, it's a sterile environment, which I guess it is, but that's never really come up before. But it makes sense.
Yeah.
But they are bringing in flowers which have pollen and stuff, so it's again, I'm
Yeah.
overthinking it. I'm overthinking it, I think.
Yeah, I was with you. The thing that I found like darkly ironic is it was within the last like couple weeks that I think bees became endangered.
Yeah. So they should be trying to save this bee, not
Yeah.
kill it.
That's
Luckily.
why-
Luckily, it's a CGI bee, and it's a very obviously CGI bee. So
but
no,
it's like, what are we telling kids? Kill the bees.
yeah,
Get them out.
yeah.
Keep it
They
sterile.
should have made it a wasp or a hornet or something.
Something, yeah. But
But yeah. Oh, another
that was
great
a
face.
small nitpick.
He
Yeah.
fell into the cart, and that was his little comedy bit. But I preferred Betty's, where she basically smashed somebody with the flowers, like whoops,
Boom!
and it makes me think that like later, I mean, they're probably not going to become Rangers, but I would love it. But later, if they ever have to do any kind of combat, I'll believe that she can knock someone out because she's accidentally knocking people over constantly. So it would be pretty
Yeah.
easy to believe that.
All the space comedy. As
Yeah.
I see it, every time I
love
see
her
it in
face.
the episode, I think of you.
Look, wait, do I look like her? No, I can't match that level of face genius.
Well, the other thing too is I'm delayed seeing you, so it
Okay,
doesn't
but it doesn't matter. But yeah, you can see when the CGI isn't terrible, but in these freeze frames, you could really see it. Like the wings are like super
Yeah.
opaque and stuff. I think the wings is what
yeah.
really kills it because whatever. I'm looking at it as an artist now instead of as someone watching a TV show. But I'm like, I would have done those
Yeah.
wings differently. All right, so moving on though. Oh, this was a crazy scene. I mean, it's all part of the same scene, but where they bust through and that guy ends up hanging from the ceiling, like that. Like,
Oh yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, is he gonna fall? Oh, I'm really glad he didn't fall.
yeah, but like that was like they have extras all the time, but that was definitely like a stunt actor. I mean, they're all a little bit stunt actors that get knocked over, but like I could probably get knocked over. I don't think I could get knocked off of a ladder and hang like that. That's
And you're just like, yep, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
yeah. So we start with comedy and then we immediately go into tragedy. And
Yeah.
and even the lighting, and it's like a down angle, and it's like somber, and it's like, oh right, look, they're in their coffins. They're not dead, but they're not alive. And I didn't make that connection before because it's like, stasis and life support and all that stuff, but they're basically in coffins, right? I mean,
Yeah. You already
Go
know
ahead.
what I'm gonna say.
is
You
it
already know that I'm not a fan of Blue.
is
he
it because
can't-
of the flower?
No, he's so flat all the time. Like, even when he was supposed to be emotionally driven in this episode, I'm like, you are the most boring person I've watched thus far.
Oh, I feel so bad. I mean, I can't disagree that he's my least favorite.
Yeah, but
I've been trying to defend him and stick up for him, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, because you're
Yeah.
right. This is the episode where they're kind of giving him a chance to shine, and like they made the character more interesting a little bit because spoilers. He ends up like breaking a rule, and like that's the big thing. He does
Yeah.
break rules. But I don't know. I keep hoping that like once she wakes up, or like at some point he's gonna have this big emotional dam burst because he
Yeah.
plays it so reserved, even in this one, that I'm hoping there's gonna be a payoff down the line. And you're like, no, he's just he's gonna get worse and
No,
worse.
yeah. I feel like if there was going to be a payoff, this would be the episode we would see it. And
It's episode
unless,
4. It's
yeah, I
episode 4.
know,
We got a
but
long time to go.
I fell in love with everyone except for him on episode 1.
Yes, well, no, I didn't love the mayor. See, the mayor kind of won me
Okay,
over, so he could still win us over.
yeah. The one thing I will say, like teasing ahead, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but the only thing I thought that would make me like Blue more potentially is if he got turned into an avatar.
That would have been a cool, even if it was just for a little while, that would have been a fun
Yeah, I
thing.
was thinking
Yeah.
like, oh, something weird happened, and there's the Blue Ranger and the Avatar, and
Right.
then there's just two, like all these things I thought of where I'm like, cool. Then you really have to be different with the two. No,
It would have been cool even if he didn't get to stay the Blue Ranger, like if he just became an Avatar, because then we'd have
Mhm.
3 evil Rangers and 2 good Rangers, which I don't think we've ever seen that. It's
Mhm.
usually equal, or the good guys have more. So that would have been, even if it was just again for a few episodes, it would have been
Yeah.
like super, like, oh my gosh, how can they possibly? They're outnumbered like now. Like that would have been a real. But again, it's so early in the series. I see chat coming, but it's so small on my screen I can't read it. So just like do me check.
Arazuki. Fun fact: they were gonna turn him, but when he read the script as an Avatar, everyone took a nap, so they decided against
Oh,
it.
poor Ravi. Oh, poor
Thank you,
Ravi.
Arazuki. Thank you. That was
Oh,
great and
gosh.
unexpected.
You guys are killing me.
Oh.
You guys are killing me.
I see. So you and I are coming at 2 different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
I really don't like him, and I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. You're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and slowly you're not liking him more.
Yeah, it's true. Luckily, everyone else is so good that I still, as of now, I still think this is one of the best seasons we've had in a while.
Yes, still like I'm still loving it, and I actually really liked. I'm totally blanking on her name, but Avatar
Zoe?
Yellow.
Oh, Roxy.
Roxy was
Yes.
great in
Yes.
this episode.
Roxy and Zoe are like my favorite, like good guy and bad guy, I think, at this point. And I love, like, they're not the same person, but they're both yellow, so they're good like arch enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, going back to Ravi, your favorite. So he has a flashback again to like their last Valentine's Day. They're in front of this fountain, and the flower thing. It's like, oh, he puts a flower on there, and then he remembers the flowers. And then this kind of reminds me of the second episode where there was that weird billboard where it froze up Devin, and he's like, and it was like, look at that weird billboard. I kind of feel the same way about this picture. And I watched it with Airzuki, and she's like, what's with those flowers? They're like in a weird placement, and they look like they were photoshopped in afterwards.
Yeah.
And I feel like they took this picture, like, we're gonna need a picture of them together, and then they finished the script and said, oh, flowers are gonna be really important, so put some flowers in there. And they're just like, yeah, I know Photoshop. There you go. I did that once. And it wouldn't be so bad, except as we'll see, this picture is shown about 4 more times. So I don't know. It's just a weird kind of thing I noticed. And then there's the flower he gave her and stuff. All right, so moving on. Oh, sorry.
I was too distracted by him being so loving and a great partner in that photo. Just so.
I feel like you're being sarcastic, maybe.
Yeah, I wasn't sarcastic at work. Short a side tangent. One of my coworkers and I are always sarcastic with each other all the time. So we promised today, ironically, to be nothing but serious with each other.
Okay.
So now I'm getting it all out subconsciously. You just made me realize it.
Fair enough. Okay, so then we cut back to the evil zone, which again I don't remember what the name of this place is. Do you? This dimension?
I'm pretty sure it's the evil zone.
The evil zone. Okay, so in the evil zone, and we
bad guy layer number 2.
Back. So we get back to Scrozzle and Roxy, and she's here. The flower again. There's what I'm saying. So that's why I also think that they put it in the photo after the fact, because they decided to carry that theme through the whole thing. And honestly, I don't mind the flower theme. I just thought that picture was weird. So she's like, and she creates it digitally, and she's saying how she has all the memories of her previous host, but none of the emotions, so she could use it against him. And this is another case where Scrozzle's like, that seems like a stupid idea, and then Evox is like, shut up, and he's all whatever you say, master.
Yeah.
I don't know why I took there. Oh, like, just, hey, what's up? Nothing. Wait, hold on, let me see if I can do it. Hey, what's up? Nothing. Hey, what's up? Nothing. I don't know why I did that. All right, so There's Scrozzle talking back. Blaze just chilling in the corner. A lot of this scene, and I've commented on this before about like the voice, the face acting and stuff like that. But a lot of the actors, extras, suit actors do a really good job of staying in character and doing some business in the background.
Yeah.
So some, not just Power Rangers, but some shows, it's like when the people are giving their lines, everyone in the background is kind of like. But in this, you see Blaze is like kind of, I'm paying attention, but I got my attitude. And then there's a later scene where they're talking, and Scrozzle's kind of like, nah, I don't like that,
Yeah.
And in Grid Battle Force, too, everyone's doing something. So I don't know if this is the director, or they got some good actors, or who's responsible, but everybody's staying in the moment. Everybody's staying in character. And I really appreciate that, especially because I end up watching these twice in a row, and then I take the screenshot, so I'm like staring at it, and I just notice all this attention to detail with the acting, and I really like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think people in the background definitely show more of a purpose. Taking a look at chat, Matt Kendall Clare was commenting on Arazuki's best April Fool's Day joke. I agree. It is pretty good. And, of course, coming in clutch with all of the answers to our questions, it's the cyber dimension.
The cyber dimension. Okay, cyber dimension. I actually have a cheat sheet here with a bunch of names and stuff for what I forgot. I'll have to add it to that. What was Arazuki's April Fool's Day joke? I didn't see it.
Oh, about Ravi. About why he can't be an avatar. They're like, we thought about it, but you're already pretty boring, so.
Yeah, poor Ravi.
He can't be the most boring character on both teams, just on one.
Oh, boo. But it would have been cool if he became an avatar and was like nuts. Like
completely
like outblazed Blaze,
Like they're just like, what do you guys need me to do? Just anything.
He's just like chaotic
anything
evil.
That you're not already doing. Yep. Just total opposite end. I want you to go up and start slapping Evox. Whatever you got to do.
Whatever the evil plan is, just blow your friends up, blow your enemies up.
Start just making monsters left and right. Just plugging into everything.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't given up hope though, because the fact that we do have an avatar for yellow and red, and again, I haven't watched Go Busters, so I don't know what footage is available, and they create their own footage anyway. So it would be cool if, for an episode, for a story arc, at some point we saw an avatar for blue. Would be very cool.
Yeah, I am 100% down for avatars for everyone, even the kid who I think is related to Billy, but probably isn't.
Nate Silva.
Thank you.
I didn't just look over to the side. Nate Silva, the young scientist played by Abraham Rodriguez. I just remember that. I did actually remember his name was Nate, but the rest of it I had to look.
See, similar to the problem you had before your cheat sheet, I remember either their character name and not their actor name, or their actor name and not their character name.
That's why I put both. Speaking of which, we talked before about the actor for Scrozzle, Campbell Cooley, who is pretty awesome, and I recommend following him on Twitter. He's very interactive, and he's commented on our videos and stuff before. And he was sharing the art I did of his character and/or the video with our buddy Roxy here, whose name I am blanking on, but I have next to me. It's Leanna Ramirez. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but she also has made a few nice comments about the show, so thank you to her as well, and she's worth following as well. It seems like
thank you.
Ranger actors in general are pretty active on social media, some more than others, but it seems like most of the Beast Morphers cast are all like, before the show even started, we're like, hey, check it out, let's interact and stuff. So if you're interested in interacting with them on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, they definitely all seem very approachable and very interactive, so I recommend giving them a follow. Why not? And me too, Gazbot. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram too. And the Bigdawg, he's on Instagram.
I am. I almost never post. I'm more of a lurker, lurky.
When I put this on when I put it on YouTube, I put links to all my social media, and I have just your Instagram. So if you ever want something else, I could put it out there. But I'm more of I'm an artist, and I do shows, and so I'm trying to promote myself, and I'm a little bit more of a, even though you're on the show right now and you're like a public personality because of that, I am like always trying to get people to see me and follow me for various reasons. So anybody that's wondering, it's not that I'm like trying to take all the glory. He just doesn't have anywhere to link to. So
yeah, it's one of those things where you, even taking apart from your art side of things, are more entertaining and more fun to follow from a personal perspective.
See, now I don't want to hear about this.
And I'm just kind of there.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't like this telling me I'm good and you're bad. Let's move on.
Taking a breather, looking at chat. Matt Kendall Clare brings up, I do wonder what suit Ravi would have if he became an avatar, since both Blaze and Roxy use Go Buster suits, although hers is recolored. Ronnie Gunter says, what's up? What's up, Ronnie?
What's up, Ronnie?
And he is...
Oh, Ronnie is an artist. He's a member of the 100s, which is an art group I'm a part of.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, welcome, fellow 100er. Matt Kendall-Clare also is talking about their morph form and not their civilian
Right, because
form.
the civilian form would be just a blue version of that suit they always wear.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me that's an inverse of the morph suit they had in the first episode because it was like white.
Oh yeah.
I never made that connection because I'm an idiot. It's just a black version of that.
I did. Theirs are way cooler. I hated them when we first saw them, and then now that they're switched, I'm like, oh, they're awesome.
And that's why they did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they could repurpose like a Monster of the Week suit, or
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Either you have two extremes: either double down and just change probably Blaze's suit and make it blue with a different helmet, or go to the extreme and have some in-show reason of like, oh well, because of XYZ reason, he is incredibly monstrous because the gorilla DNA is unstable or whatever.
I'd be fine with that, but maybe they could do that. Well, see, now we're just writing the show because they could do that for one episode. Yeah, we could do that for one episode when they introduce him, and then maybe they like balance it a little bit, and then he becomes Blaze suit with a different helmet in blue. So you get the best of both worlds.
You could just do what Jungle Fury did and have a horrible werewolf suit for an episode.
I don't mind that at all. I don't mind. I mean, we all know I'm a big Jungle Fury fan. I'm a big RJ fan. I also love werewolves. I'm fine with that. It makes me want to do fan art of just RJ as a werewolf now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. If we get 10 people to suggest it, Gaz just said he'll do it.
Whoa. Okay, I'll tell you what. Because not in chat here, but if you go to my YouTube channel, give me a subscribe, which is free on YouTube, and in the comments say do an RJ werewolf. If I get 10 comments on the YouTube from different people, I will do that for next episode.
Boom, perfect.
There you go. It'll be up here.
RJ werewolf.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to this again, more face acting that I love to kind of and not to take away from Roxy, but I realize on a much like more subdued level, she's starting to remind me a little bit of Divatox. And I like Divatox, so that's a good thing. And much more subdued, because Divatox is like, woo, way out there. And I think Roxy is much like keeping it down low, but some of the faces she pulls, and later in this episode, I'll show you a scene specifically that a little bit of Divatox. And again, I don't even think the actress is necessarily channeling Divatox, but that's sort of like, I'm a diva and I got a plan and I kind of don't care what anybody else is doing. But
I had a different thought. She actually really reminded me of Trakina from Lost Galaxy.
I could see that because they have a similar like energy level. Divatox was much bigger and broader with her energy.
Well, that and then wasn't there an episode of Lost Galaxy where she tried to trick one of the Rangers into liking her?
Yeah, I kind of remember her sort of being good for a little bit, like trying to be good, and because she didn't want to be this bug monster, and like Trakina kind of disappointed me because I'm a big fan of the evil character turning good. That's like my favorite trope, and Trakina kind of started going that way. And even if they don't become fully good, characters like Ecliptor who are like evil but have a code of honor, and you could kind of see the way they work. And he loved, Astronema, who is sort of a surrogate daughter. Like even if they don't fully become good, I like when you could empathize with them and they have some redeeming qualities. And Trakina sort of was like she didn't want to become this bug monster, and she had, I forget that character's name, but it was sort of her mentor fighting trainer and stuff.
I know who you're talking about.
And so like I was getting really invested in her, but again, spoilers if you haven't seen Lost Galaxy, don't listen to what I'm saying. But she kind of turned against her mentor. She decided to go full bug, and she's like, I'm going to kill everyone. And it was like, it made sense. It wasn't a bad story, but I was like, that's not what I wanted to happen. Like I wanted her to.
I chalked that up to when she went in her metamorphosis. It did like an evolution of her evil side.
Oh, I agree, but she shouldn't have done the metamorphosis.
Well, didn't she have to? I thought she got pushed into it.
I thought she got pushed into it metaphorically speaking, where she's like, I feel like I have to do this now. Or
I thought metaphorically and physically she got pushed.
Maybe someone in chat that's seen that season can remind us. I thought she was against it in theory, but events in the show transpired where she's like, you know what, now I'm going to do this because her father pressured her or because she wasn't powerful enough, but she kind of made the decision to do it.
Matt Kendall-Clare says Villamax. Coming in clutch once again.
Nice, thank
you so much.
Villamax, yes. Well, let's move on. We're talking so much about other shows. We're like barely into this episode.
I'm so used to last week. I'm sorry.
No, I like chatting, but there's only so much time. Okay, so then here's the plan. She's going to go try to trick him. Scrozzle doesn't like it, but he falls in line. Again, here's some more background acting where he's not talking. He doesn't have lines. They're talking about the plan, and he's just over there like, I think that they're so good, which again pays off later in the episode when we see what he's talking about to Evox. Okay, so we cut back now. Here we got Nate Silva. He's out shopping, and I'm kind of a dope because I didn't realize this until later, and Erzuki pointed out to me. He's out shopping. It's Valentine's Day. He's looking at flowers, and he's looking at yellow flowers. Oops, I skipped ahead. So he's obviously buying them for Zoe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I picked that up way later. But I was just like, he's out shopping. Maybe who knows? He's like, I don't know. It's such an obvious thing, but like I'm a dope, and I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you very much. And then here's Evil Yellow Roxy setting up my favorite prop. If anybody wants to buy a prop when it's over and send it to me, feel free to buy this and send it to me. I'll give you a free drawing of whatever you want. So she looks.
It is so cool.
I love it. It's so retro, but it's clean, and I don't know. I want to say it's stupid, but that's not. It's like campy, maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It makes me think of like Jack Kirby comic book art, where it's like sci-fi, doesn't make sense, but it looks like it makes sense, and yeah, I totally dig it.
One side's Mountain Dew, one side's Surge, and
oh my gosh, yes, I'll make a drink dispenser of it.
Oh, so good.
All right, so now this should make you happy, Bigdawg. She decides to infect this sort of shovel loader, front ender, whatever you call these things, and what does it turn into? A monster that looks exactly like the thing it's supposed to.
I know. I looked at it, and at first I was like, oh, what is it? Yes! The other thing, too, that's unfortunate, just the way they did this, is one of the few villain figures for Ninja Steel was some bulldozer cat monster. And one thing that is a pet peeve that no one should have other than me is I don't love when specific themed monsters are 2 seasons in a row, but this was just coincidental because like in all reality they're like 5 years apart in Sentai.
So you were happy that it was the most like quote unquote realistic transformation, but you're like, but because of last season I'm kind of annoyed about this.
Well, no, because assuming they made a figure of it, I'm like, I already have a little scooper guy.
You know what?
That's okay. I'll get it anyway.
A quick digression here to talk about figures. As I said before, Wave 1 is out, but at Toy Fair they announced most of what would be in Wave 2. So we know that we're getting a Roxy, and we know that we're getting another red figure of some sort.
Oh yeah.
And there's also going to be a couple of what are the villains called? I actually wrote it down because the generic name, not the Tronics, but like the Monster of the Week, they call them.
Yeah, well, something. I thought there were 2 names. I thought there was one for the small version and one for the giant.
Well, the giant they call the beta. And actually, I have it on my other paper. So maybe somebody in chat, our favorite buddy, can tell us. But they have 2 Monster of the Weeks, it looked like, and I don't remember what they were. I don't remember if it was this one, but I was surprised that one of them wasn't Scrozzle. Because he's, other than the avatars, he's the main villain. I mean, Evox, yeah, but it's hard to have an Evox figure, so I didn't really expect that. That seems like more of a play set or something. But I thought Scrozzle for sure, and they haven't announced it yet, which surprised me. But the Monster of the Week, I don't remember. Yeah.
It's funny you should ask because Matt Kendall Claret coming in clutch.
Yes, thank you.
Robotrons for the small versions.
Robotrons, yes. And
Gigadrones for the giant versions.
Well, then what's the beta? The Betatron. Or beta something. Because he even says it in this episode.
I think that was specific to this.
They've said it in other episodes. Because I think he says, I'm going to launch the beta drone maybe. And then he says once it merges with the Shoveltron or whatever this guy's name is, then it becomes a Gigatron? Like maybe the beta is before it I think that's what it is. I'm getting the names all mixed up. But I think the beta is the giant one before it mixes with the Monster of the Week. Then when they mix, they become, what'd you say it was? A Gigadrone? Gigadrone. So maybe that's what it is. Beta is like the beta form, which makes sense too.
Yeah, maybe, okay. No, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say maybe the beta drone is before it has an attribute of the Monster of the Week.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
For once we're agreeing and not arguing. It's shocking on April Fool's. One other thing from Matt Kendall Claret, bringing back to the Trakina conversation, you're welcome. Anyway, Trakina was against her transformation, but she pretty much just wanted the extra power, so she was kind of pushed against it. Ronnie Gunter said, it looks old school. I agree, it does. And basically, she had no choice in the matter since she wanted more power.
Okay, so I was right. She was pushed into it. No, she was pushed into it mentally, emotionally. She wanted the power. She felt she had no option, so she was pushed in by forces in the world. But no one physically pushed her, which is what you said. She still had the choice. She might have felt like she had no choice,
I guess.
but nobody pushed her in. You're wrong.
There may be a different season that I'm thinking of, but because you're not caught up, Matt and Claire, if you know the answer to what I'm thinking of, please don't bring anything.
Are you saying that there was a similar character in a different season, or are you saying that Trakina comes back in a different season?
No, I'm saying a similar character.
Okay, that doesn't matter then. That's you're like
no. I'm saying I remember a scene of something, whether it's a monster of the week, whether it's Trakina or somebody, gets pushed and has some kind of transformation.
Fair enough.
Maybe I thought it was Trakina or something else.
That's fine. But what you haven't said is, you know what? You're right. Trakina wasn't physically pushed in. I was wrong. And you're not going to say it, so we'll move on.
It's April Fool's Day. I don't know what more you want from me.
I just love that I'm like, oh, look, you're wrong. And you're like, well, I might have been right about a different season. It's like, that's not the same as admitting. Okay, moving on. Bigdawg Defender.
I'm going to mind tricking you. You're right, guys. Keep going.
All right, so look how shocked he is that you were wrong, because you're never wrong.
Face acting, all the way.
Face acting. So Nate's like, oh my gosh, I'm totally shocked by this. And then he gets blasted, and again, yellow flowers, which I should have noticed. It was such an obvious thing. Another thing, which we've talked about before, but it's worth repeating, he uses his communicator. There is good communication between the Rangers, the villains, everybody using technology that would be used. So he gets shot, and he doesn't go, what am I going to do? He calls base because he's part of a paramilitary group that has superheroes. So, of course, we cut to the Riptide Gin because they're not at base. And this was a weird part. Again, throwing in the carrots. He's like, hey, you want some cookies? And she's like, I'm good with my carrots. Doesn't bother me. It wasn't as good as the other episode where she's like, I need a carrot. But I really, really thought I was going to hate the carrot thing, and I'm actually totally fine with it. I
think the more it goes, the more it's casual and not, here's a huge roadblock that we established in episode 2.
Absolutely. Although it is funny that she's still the only one that it's come up, like their weaknesses. She's the only one. And I'm fine with that because, well, I like the idea of the weaknesses. They were kind of goofy when they executed him. So
Ravi needs emotion in order to feel rage. So that's why his hasn't come up.
Here's his emotion. No, I don't like this holiday. I don't like Valentine's Day, which is silly.
Sorry, Arizuki said the red should be eating antelopes. I don't know.
Because of the cheetah. This was kind of whatever. I mean, again, we're nitpicking, and just to reinstate, overall, I like this episode. I like this show. We're always nitpicking, but I like that she's like, I'm happy with my carrots. Fine. He doesn't say I don't want cookies. He's like, I don't like Valentine's Day. Let me tell you something. I'm not Jewish, but if I'm at someone's house and they're celebrating Hanukkah and they offer me a Hanukkah cookie, I'll say thanks for the cookie. You know, I'm not gonna be like, I'm not Jewish. I cannot take it. Like, what? It's a cookie. Who cares if you celebrate?
Are you saying there's a reason we like blue less in this episode?
I chalk this up to writing, not to acting.
No, I know.
But it is just silly. Like, I've never. Who turns down snacks because of what holiday? I don't celebrate Halloween. Get that Snickers out of here. Like, that doesn't.
Sadness fills the void that he needs for the cookies. He gets one or the other. He either gets sadness or he gets the cookies. He doesn't get both.
Fair. So they get the call on their little thing. The commander's like, hey, what's up? Silva's buying flowers, and he got shot in the butt, so get over here. So then they get over there, and, of course, there's mayhem, and the shovel guy's blasting. They come running in. And this is the shot that was in the preview trailer where he's wearing that awesome cheetah shirt, which I kind of want. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I suspect, and I don't know because I haven't looked into it, but I suspect that's not something they created for him. I feel like they were in New Zealand and in some store and were like, look at that shirt. He's got to have that shirt. So
it's one of those things, like, the more I looked at it, the more I literally kept teeter-tottering of, like, I love it or I hate it. There's not in the middle ground.
I like it even more because when we saw it briefly, I thought it was just a cheetah face. But looking at it, it's sort of like artistically broken down where it almost looks like a grid, like a digital grid. So I have not done this yet, but I plan on looking online to see if I can find that shirt. And if I can, you will see me wearing it in a future episode. Because
you're going to represent a Red Ranger? What?
Well, if
who are you?
If Zoe had one with Jax, that would be more appropriate.
Is this an April Fool's Day prank?
No.
Are you getting us all right now?
No, it's not. But I do like him as a Red Ranger, and I think it's a cool shirt. And I like cats. Like, as much as I like Zoe, I'm a bigger fan of a cheetah than I am of a rabbit, generally speaking. It's just that Jax and her rabbit thing won me over, you know. So, but also I like wearing, you know, shirts like I always prefer to wear like a Superman logo than a picture of Superman. even though I'm wearing a picture of Mechagodzilla right now. But you know what I mean? It would be a fun sort of nod. It's that sort of thing where if I wore it out, people wouldn't go, "Whoa, Power Rangers! Whoa, Beast Morphers!" But if they were a hardcore fan, they'd be like, "Is that the shirt that Devin wore?" I'd be like, "Yeah," and then I know they're worth having a conversation with.
Exactly. That's the baseline for new friends.
Right.
Oh, do you know my reference for the shirt? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Awful.
That's both of my tattoos are like that too. They're like I have this one which is from an old Marvel comic, and then I have this one which is from Jungle Fury. You can tell one's newer than the other. Both of them are pretty obscure, and if somebody gets them, then it's like, okay, we got something to talk about, you know?
I would like to note, I'm pretty sure I call-shotted your original tattoo when we met, right?
When we met? No.
Yeah, didn't I say, oh, is that Starbrand?
Oh, maybe. I thought you were saying that you call-shotted that I was going to get a Jungle Fury tattoo years ago. No, you didn't. You may have called the Starbrand. I honestly don't remember.
I said, nice to meet you. I know you haven't watched much of Power Rangers, but I think you're going to get a tattoo of it.
Yeah, when we first met a few years back, I was just dipping my toe back into the Power Rangers pool, which is why a lot of times when we go to Bigdawg Defender Knowledge Zone, he's got some gap filling abilities that I don't.
Not to be confused with the Cyber Dimension.
Correct. All right, so he calls down the Tronics because he's like, 3 against 1, that's not fair, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, what time is it?
It's Morphin time.
That's right. And so, oh, no, it's not Morphin time. You're tricked. It's the original pose, but they're calling in their weapons. So they use the communicator, and they digitally bring the weapons in with a teleport, which I love. I also love that I totally wasn't trying to trick you, but I did, because I also thought it was Morphin time. I like here that, and again, these are little things, but this is the director, the choreographer. I don't know who to give credit to. Look how they're all holding the guns differently. They're not all like this. You got him, he's have it straight out. She's sort of holding it more like with a better grip. And it looks like Ravi's getting his ready up here.
And Ravi's not in the fight. Yep.
That's see, I'm trying to be positive. But it's it's the little things like that though that I do appreciate. That they're individuals, their personality / training is going to show through. And actually, you know what? I'll give Ravi credit because he's the one with the most paramilitary training. So they have their guns out. He's like has his at the ready. He's like, looking to figuring out what he's going to do. He probably doesn't have his finger on the trigger. Their fingers are probably on the trigger, So he's doing the right thing.
I'll not debate you on this, and we will.
Okay.
The one thing I will say about the blasters, though, taking what you just said out of it,
yeah.
I did like how they're like, oh, we got our blasters. Let's use them as blunt instruments.
Yes.
And just hit everybody with these blasters.
They're very heavy and strong.
That's the one thing I like. They just run in. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why don't you just blast them from there? Oh, no, we're just going to.
You're absolutely right.
Use it like
here,
a hammer.
I don't think she was firing it. I think you're right that she was like blocking his sword with it.
Yep.
That's amazing. And they do use them later on, but you're right. The whole first half of the fight, they're like, tsh, 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 and they have swords and other melee weapons.
That's what got me.
That's a really good point that I totally missed both times that I watched it. Well spotted, Bigdawg. You're redeemed from your earlier mistakes.
Thank you.
Once again, I thought the choreography on this fight scene was above average. I enjoyed it. Here's something I might be wrong about, but when I was watching the actors, Yellow, and I didn't get some good screen grabs, but it seems like she did this whole fight herself. Like,
yes.
It has, like, that could be her, but, like, yeah, I didn't do a good job of capturing it. But you see her face in it, and it's closer up. And then she does her, like, rabbit jump once again using her special powers.
Yep.
With Red, it was a lot of far away down shots, and I wonder if he was doing his stunts himself. Now this shot, like, yeah, you see him here, but I wonder, and I know that the actress, and I know they all trained, but I see Jackie Sislowski, I think is her name, that does Zoe. I know she started training like immediately. And has been training hardcore and has talked on her social media about how she's like really into it now, and I could see her being one of those people that like for the rest of her life she's into like training in martial arts and all that kind of stuff. Not taking away from the other two; they're both in way better shape than me and very athletic. But I wonder if she's trained more, so she's getting a little bit more advanced stunts to do than the other two.
I think some of it has to do with that, and the other part has to do with when they break down the fight, what is each person doing? I'm sure if you flip-flopped the positions that she was in and that Red was in, maybe she would have a double more because of some of the intricacies or potential danger, things like that, where because she's flat at first, you can get away with that, and then it cuts away when she jumps, whereas for him, on that platform, there's a lot of potential for
Yeah, that's a very good
Yeah.
point. I think it's worth watching in the future to see how it goes.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, I mainly just noticed that I saw her actual face throughout most of the scene. And if
Hmm.
that continues, then there might be validity to my claim. But you're right. What he was doing may have been more difficult, and so maybe she also could not have done that.
Yeah.
We see Blue do a flip here, which I'm unclear if it was the actor or the stunt person. Doesn't matter, but just because we were just talking about it.
Hmm.
And then we see Roxy peering in, and then she throws some buckets to make him fall, which I think is amazing. Like,
Oh,
it's
I
so
know.
evil right from the beginning. She's like, I have to pretend I'm saving him, but here's some buckets first, and he falls.
Well, the thing I liked about it too is he's moving,
Yeah.
and then he's like totally aware of everything, turns his back. She's like, "You're not looking. Here you
Mhm.
go," and then
Yeah.
totally dupes him.
Yes, yes. And he's like, I can flip away from lasers, but this water can. Oh man, my one weakness. And then we cut here, and it looks like he's going to be down. And I again, just framing. We talked about this with a lot of the Zord battles in the previous ones. Like the cinematography, part of it's Sentai footage, part of it's American, but like it's classic framing. Now, are they reinventing the wheel? No, but they're doing it right. Like, and I've taken a few film classes, but I'm primarily like an illustrator and a comic artist. But like, yeah, he's on the ground, he's in the foreground, and even though he's closer, we're really seeing the villain, and it's like an up angle so that he's like lower in status, and it's on a tilt so that like just everything about it is like he's in trouble. And again, it's a lot of attention to detail this season that I haven't seen in a while. And then a down shot of him looking worried, and then there's the credits.
Positive, really quick.
Yeah.
Best face acting we've seen from him.
Yeah, very, very good. I don't know if it's the best, but I agree that it is very good. So,
I will give him a positive.
So
right
he needs
there.
to be worried and scared more often, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, so then we have the credits, which I'm not going to go through, and then she shows up. Wait! And it's very dramatic. And I wonder here if the what's his name? Shoveltron, I think is his name. I wonder if Shoveltron is an amazing actor, and he's playing along, or she didn't tell him because he's like, oh,
I don't think she told him.
Yeah, she didn't trust him to act properly, I guess.
I think she told Evox and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this," and then from there he wasn't even like created yet, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my plan's just gonna keep going, and if I have to destroy this monster, I will."
Yeah, that makes sense. And because they typically portray the monsters as not super intelligent, so she probably didn't trust him to,
Mm-hmm.
Anything going on in chat? I just want to make sure we're not ignoring anybody.
Arizuki said he's going to represent a cat in regards to your earlier comment with the shirt. Spoilers, he was actually farting in the screenshot. Best face acting.
Oh, man.
And then Matt
Robbie.
Kendall Clare, at Arizuki reminds me when David Yost reportedly farted during a command center scene.
And everybody's like, "Ooh, this villain is terrible." Oh.
I just think that when in the opening sequence of Mighty Morphin, they're all looking up at Zordon like, "Billy, you have the intelligence of a Triceratops, so that's why you will be the Blue Ranger." It's just, well timed.
What did we say before about being 12 years old? Maybe it's more like 9. Yeah.
We're like 11 now, and then we dropped some knowledge, 13, when you looked at the ways to make films, and then it just ebbs and flows.
All right, so he's saved, but she's like, she doesn't say anything. She did. I mean, the actress I like, but also the character plays it well. Because if she came in and was like, "I love you. I'm not evil," it wouldn't have worked. So like, I as much as you want to go against Ravi, I have no problem with him believing in her. Because he's
not at
conflicted
all.
emotionally, and she saves him, as far as he knows,
Yep.
and she doesn't say anything. She just leaves. And so it's like a slow burn to like, hey, by the way, I want to be a good guy or a good girl, or
Yep.
whatever the case may be. So they come in, and they're like, what happened? He's like, she saved me. I think his face there was good, too.
Yeah,
Some of his best acting is in these scenes.
That scene right there, he
Yeah.
owned it. I'll give him full props.
All right, good. So when we see him at a convention, he's like, "Yo, I heard you got a problem with me." Be like, "No, this one scene. We said nice things."
I'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know if you're coming back for the super season, but let's go for it."
God. Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
kidding.
See,
but that actually would be great.
You're saying this because you're not going to Power Morphicon with me.
I'm not going to Express, but
Yeah.
next year in the California one, it may be a little weird.
Let's all just remember who said what here, because oh man. Okay, next back to Grid Battle Force, and she's debriefing them, and this I thought was a little weird, where she gets mad at Nate and is like, "What were you doing out there?" Now he's like a little off put because he doesn't want to admit he was buying flowers for Roxy, but like he was out shopping. It was during the day. There was lots of people there. It was like there happened to be an attack, but he was not near anything dangerous. He wasn't doing anything. It wasn't like he was hang gliding or hanging out with a pile of Morphex. He's like, "I'm gonna walk out where everybody is and do some shopping." That's not allowed. Like
So here's the double-edged sword of the commander being mad.
Okay.
He's not allowed outside. Why? Because there's danger all the time and he's too valuable. Okay, so you're saying that there's danger all the time and no one should be outside.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
And
so
in previous episodes, he's been outside.
Yeah, so if she wants to have the argument, then the whole city should be on lockdown 24/7.
Yeah.
If not, she needs to lighten up.
And I think it's supposed to establish her being sort of a mother figure to him, since he doesn't really have, even though he has parents, he doesn't really have parents. And that's fine, but it definitely is a case where I'm on the side of him of like, what? He can't leave?
I am
like,
too.
That's ridiculous. So he wasn't doing anything irresponsible, he just was unlucky. And then, but he can't really defend himself very well because he's like, he's looking at Yellow like, nothing? I don't know. What? Who's shopping?
Yeah.
And I thought this was interesting too, when she's like, you're going to have to go out with a buddy, and they cut to these two who have no lines, and then Devin's just like, you believe this?
Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't seem weird to Ravi because he's like, yes, no, we are under mother's thumb.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I think it could have been one of those like nod it things of like, you need a buddy, and they're all like, don't move, don't talk, don't do it.
And so then he's complaining about needing the buddy, and then here comes the picture where why did they talk about this picture? Oh, I know, because they love the picture so much they have to keep sharing it. But no, it was like, guys, I think there might be good in her. Look at this horrible Photoshop picture again. Remember, there's a fountain. It's a plot point. But what I like, and I like Nate in general, and this is, again, part of what I like about him. He's like, Nate, man, do you think there could be some good in there? Nate knows there isn't. They've talked about the science. They've said this isn't their personality. This is like an evil, corrupted version. They're still here, blah, 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 blah. And it would have been so easy for Nate to be like, well, who knows? You never know. And he's like, no, she's evil. And then the other two are like, yeah, man, she's evil. And then he's like, you don't know. And it's like, why did you ask? You're like, hey, smart scientist that understands the science. Do you think she's evil? Yes. Hey, friends who even saw her be good. Do you think she's evil? They're like, yes. It's like, why did you ask? Like, you don't know. So this was kind of my least favorite moment of him, like, even though he had a good moment before. And again, this isn't the actor, this is writing. But it was just like so petulant and like you didn't get the answer you wanted, so suddenly everybody's an idiot. Like
yeah. Matt Kendall Clare says, hey, we're all kids at heart. Yeah, I didn't like the whole thing about the commander being mad at Nate either. See, we're all in agreement.
Nice. So he leaves, and then they're like, where could he be going? And it's like, oh, well, probably to the fountain that we just looked at the picture of a minute ago. And so here's him being sad at the fountain when what should happen? Boom, it's Roxy. And again, with the slow burn, she doesn't run up and go, I missed you. She's like, I know you think I'm going to kill you, but...
Mm-hmm. The other thing I like, too, is the sense of urgency she puts on it, where she's like, hey, I don't have time. I really need you to do this thing rather quickly.
Yes, because it's like she's sneaking out for a few minutes and her evil overlord's going to find her.
Yeah, she character-wise, plays it great.
Perfectly. Yeah. It was because a lot of times these things happen and you're like, what an idiot. Why'd he fall for that? But it's like, no, I could have fallen for that, too. Like, she played it really well.
She is selling it so well.
Yes. And this is a nitpick, but it worked out perfectly because she makes the rose and it's like digital like she is. Because like they've never really explained it, but you get the impression they're made of like energy of some sort. They're like not a physical form. And so she's like, here's a rose. And I was like, she's going to give that to him, but it's like made of energy. Like what, whatever. So I was like, I kind of thought it was dumb. And then there's the rose and the fountain. And she starts talking to him about how she's not, and I also like this too, where she's like, I need help. She's like, I'm not fully evil, but I'm not fully good. So she's even like playing it like I'm still corrupted and you can't 100% trust me, but it's like.
Yeah, because of that sense of doubt, he trusts her more.
Yeah, it was written so well. And then she talked backstory. Oh, there's the white suit before it turned black. Yeah, it's definitely better as black. So she talks about, remember I got corrupted, and here's the thing. And again, just a quick visual thing, like 1 second. They didn't go into a huge big flashback that would have been annoying, so it was just a quick reminder. Yeah. And this is what you were talking about, where she's like, please, can you help me? And then she's like, I got to get out of here. They're going to be waiting for me, which, again, perfect. Just put some doubt in his head, a little bit of urgency, and then it's up to you. She didn't, like, pressure him. Yeah. And then he looks at the rose after she leaves, and it disappears because it was only digital. I love that. I love that because I'm like, that rose shouldn't exist. It makes no sense. And then they did it because metaphorically, like, oh, his love is disappearing. But like, the nitpicker in me was like, perfect. Thank you, writers. That was exactly perfect.
It was like with their whole bike thing last episode. It's like, do you want these bikes? No. They're not cool.
Right.
They have a cool bike. Your bike is lame.
Yeah. So now we get back to Grid Battle Force, and this is again not very good for the character in terms of his honesty, but it makes sense, and it does make him more interesting, especially because he's been a consummate follow the rules guy to the point where he wouldn't even date the woman he loves, and they talk about it, and so now he's like, again, talking to Nate, which I think this is good characterization for both of them, because he's talking to Nate and he's like, hey, do you think this could work? And Nate's like, no. He's not like, no. He's like, well, maybe. I mean, that's an interesting angle, but I would need a lot of research, and he doesn't want to give him false hope again. And he's like, maybe at some point, if I get more information, I could look into this. But
in 3 months, possibly, probably not.
But don't get your hopes up. You know, like he's being very honest about it. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this then. Which, again, makes sense for what we've seen. And he's breaking rules, so it makes him a more interesting character. So I like this scene between both. And I also like that he didn't just go in and steal it. He was like, well, I want to try to do the right thing. Nate's not going to help me do the right thing. I guess I have to do the wrong thing. So it's such a plot that we've seen a million times, and I usually hate it, but they did it right.
Correct.
So props to the writers. And then we follow him out the bag all the way out. And they also made it like a really long, like 5 shots of him leaving for some reason. I guess just he has all this time to think about it.
What's in the bag? Who knows?
Right. Then these guys,
very important piece of technology that should probably be monitored and not put on a rack.
Yeah. Well, I guess they trusted him since he's just he's like a superhero, but
this is a sanitary area.
We can't have bees, but we can have this whatever. You know, I allow that because he's probably got clearance to everything, basically.
Trustworthy on all of it. Why did it happen? Power Rangers.
Reasons. Yeah. So they come in and they're like, he was late for training, which again is bizarre. And they didn't go, oh well. They're like, wait, if he's late for training. Again, good characters. They're not idiots. They know that something's up with him. Mm-hmm. So they're like, that's something weird. And then he immediately is like, oh, he was asking about that. So he puts 2 and 2 together. It's gone! Another good face.
What?
And they were like, where could we go? If only there was some sort of thing that's been rerunning throughout the episode. Oh, it's the terrible picture again. Here we go, a Photoshop picture of the fountain and the roses.
Look it, there's 2 roses in here. 2. Oh, the fountain. Got it. The fountain. Why did I forget?
So here we're back to the fountain. And she's there already. She's got her stuff set up. And I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the other shots, but there's no water in the fountain right here. Was there always no water in the fountain?
Maybe the fountain only runs when love is afloat.
Oh my gosh, then that should have been a clue for him because there's nothing. Wow. Okay, so he brings it out. Yeah, he brings it out, and I love how her mask slips a little bit there, like because she has to wait till she gets him set up. She has to still pretend to be good for another minute, but she's like, "Oh, you got it, good!" Oh, you know, like she.
Oh, great! Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm just half evil, half good. Oh man.
But she definitely. Yeah. But she definitely has that like addict of like, oh, cigarettes, like.
Yep.
All right, so then Shoveltron comes in and he's like, oh no, or he's farting, one or the other, and then she has this face here, which is kind of like, ha ha ha. But this is where I felt like full diva talks for a second. Hold on, wait, he's still nervous. Oh man, I think I missed the shot. Darn it. Right around here, she literally goes like, and does like with her hands. And that's what made me think of Diva Talks. The sort of delight in being evil. And again, I'm not saying she copied. I'm not saying anything negative like that. But it just reminded. And I like Diva Talks, so that's not an insult. Mm-hmm. What I found interesting, and this is maybe says something about me being gullible, but she starts doing it, right? And he's frozen. And then we see maybe it's coming up here. I love this face. This is there it is. Ha! It's Divatox. Like that doesn't say Divatox to you?
Yeah, it's Divatoxy. I'll give you credit.
Thank you. And here, another great face. Yeah, she's the face acting. We should call the show Action Activate. We love face acting.
Yeah.
So we see the
face
purple.
Acting Activate.
Face acting activate. Face activate. So we see the purple coming, and I'm like, okay, so obviously they're going to shoot it before the purple gets to him, and he'll be safe. But then it's getting higher really fast, and it actually reaches the top, and and for half a second, I'm like, oh, are they not going to it actually made me think for half a second, are they not going to get there in time?
No, here was the thing that I thought. I was the complete opposite of you. I'm like, please do it. Please, just something. Give me something right here. Make him different. Make him an avatar. Let's get it done. And yeah, and
Well,
then they shot it, and I'm like, crap.
But there's the purple hitting him. But we both thought it was going to happen, whether we
I
wanted it to or
know.
not. We both believed it, which again, good pacing, good editing, whatever you want to call it. And
Yep.
then they shoot it after the purple already starts hitting him, so that it was like it wasn't. Normally it's like 3, 2, 1, stop. It was more like 3, 2, 1, 0, stop. Like so, it was
Yeah.
just pushed it a little bit further, and then they save him, and now it's time to fight once again, and then the battle begins. All-American footage because civilian actors fighting, which again is awesome. Usually
Yep.
we see this against Tronics, but they really are doing a lot of American footage against the Monster of the Week suits,
Yeah.
which I think is awesome. And then
I
sorry, go ahead.
do like. I know we had talked about this either last week, no, 2 weeks ago, or the week before that. But I like having the official morph sequence in now, and I like that. We've talked about this in regards to the Megazords, but I feel like the way they pace their fights are like better. It's not
I
like,
agree.
hey, we have this big solution that we're just waiting to get to. It's like, no, like this is time sensitive.
Yes.
Let's fight. Okay, shoot. Now I have my opening. Let's morph. Like
Right.
it all seems like it's supposed to happen.
I
how it
agree.
is.
And while they don't have the edict that Zordon had given the original team of like you never escalate, that's never said, but that's how they're acting. They're like, we'll fight unmorphed until we have to morph. We won't use Zords until we have to use Zords, which even though Zordon didn't say it, I always refer to them as paramilitary, and that makes sense too, because the military isn't like, oh, we have a robber, let's get a tank. They escalate when they have to, so I like that. Now we cut back to Evil Zone, which is not Evil Zone, it's Cyber Dimension. I already forget because I didn't write it down. I'm a
Cyber Dimension.
Cyber Dimension. Okay, so he sees Scrozzle, and he's again communicating with Roxy, and he's like, "Oh, bring that to me. I can do something with it." And she's all like, "Okay." And so she grabs it, and I didn't get a good shot of it, but I've talked about this before. The overlapping action is so good. You see them fighting in the background, and you see her picking it up, and it's just like I can imagine that being really difficult because you can't. Everything has to go right in that shot, or you have to start over. So it's like they're making it hard on themselves, and I worry. This is a weird thing to say. I worry they're not going to be able to keep it up because it's like they're doing a good job, and they're making extra work that they don't technically have to make Power Rangers the way they make it, to make kids happy. They probably don't have to do that, but it seems like they're like, let's really do this as well as we can and overlap the action and make the choreography. But I could see like later in the season they start running short on time or budget. Like we can't afford to keep reshooting it. I'll understand if they can't keep doing this, but if they keep doing it, man, I'm impressed. And if they could keep it up, I'll be even more impressed.
Yeah, it's something like everything they've given us now, as long as it stays the same, and or improves, it's going to be arguably top 5.
Yeah,
like,
if this is the new standard, this is really good. If a few drop a little bit below, they'll still be better than a lot. And if they actually go over, then we're talking like top seasons of all time kind of situation.
Agreed.
So yeah, this is a great new standard. The figures are great. The show, people were nervous about Hasbro. I don't know why. I admit it could have went badly, but I was like, no one was happy with Neo Saban. And as a toy collector, Hasbro does better for me than Bandai ever has. Not Bandai Japan, but Bandai America.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
I think people were nervous possibly because of the Transformers shows recently.
Yeah, but Transformers Prime was a couple years ago, and that was one of the best Transformers ever.
But that was a couple years ago. That's like saying Dino Charge was awesome. Why did Ninja Steel be so terrible?
I guess, but again, looking at the toy stuff though, Transformers toys, Marvel Legends, Star Wars, they've all done a good job.
I'm with you. I'm mainly playing devil's advocate where I'm with you. Everybody who was saying that you and I were both in the same groups of like, why are you guys being so weird?
Right. And I think maybe it's people who weren't like bigger toy collectors and only collected Power Rangers. Anything going on in chat that we want to address before I move on?
I haven't seen anything right now.
Okay.
Which makes me think that we're just all. Well, I'm gonna refresh my Twitch just to be safe. But but yeah. Overall, I think going into this fight, without spoiling too much going in, I really liked it. They're making us wait for the Megazord.
Yeah, and they made us wait for the morph, which we hit here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love those. Okay, I don't know why I took those. We've all seen the morph sequence a million times. But now they had a fight for a while, and they had the blasters, and they're like, okay, let's morph up. He calls in the Tronics again.
Yep.
And then now we have the fight. Go ahead.
one note about the Tronics, I really like them as cronies.
Me
Like
too.
they're some of my favorites in a while where I feel like they're not so easily dismissible. Like as a team, they can get through them and I'm not nervous, but like when they have to make decisions like in this episode of, oh, you have to go here, I have to go here, somebody has to fight the Tronics. Like,
Yes.
oh, I'm so
Yes.
jealous of that.
Oh, so
They're
I
like,
wasn't trying to make you jealous. I was just throwing it up there.
no, like you're doing exactly right of like, I want that real bad.
One per case, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. I mean, I go back and forth because I guess like these are for kids primarily, and the kids really want a million Tronics, probably not. But as a kid, I wanted more Stormtroopers, I wanted more putties, I wanted more whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if I'll get more than one. Maybe if they go on clearance, I'll get a second, maybe. But I know you're a little bit more troop buildy with those than I
I
am.
learned my lesson and I like these way better than all the others.
Yeah,
And the others I even mildly built. Like I have
the Vivix.
yeah, I have a decent amount of Vivix and I have a couple of Vivzords.
Mm.
But I don't have any from Ninja Steel. And at first I was a little bummed about it. Now looking at these, I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, they're great.
I
I love this, and I also
would, yeah.
they also didn't do the thing that they do a lot with the foot soldier type characters, where they make them like too goofy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they have little noise they make, but like, and the putties had it, but like I don't know, the putties get a pass. They're like, yeah, they get a pass. But even the putties by like season 3, they were getting a little ridiculous, where they're doing like somersaults and like doing
Yeah.
like Larry Moe Curly kind of Three Stooges antics, and where they weren't really scary at all. And
Yeah.
they're gonna get mowed through, and they're not that much of a threat. But by not like having a goofy noise and by not like acting goofy, they seem like they're weaker, but they're not incompetent. That's
True.
and so it's like, okay, yeah, I could take these on, but it's kind of like zombies. If enough of them get on me, I might be in trouble. And
True.
and going with what you were saying, once again, Red demonstrating why he's the leader, because he's like, okay, we'll take these. He's like, real quick, just here's a quick little command.
Delegating, yep.
Yeah, and it's great. And he's not even saying I'm Red, so I have to have the big fight. He's like, you go ahead. You have the strength. Do it. Like.
Yeah.
And then, but again, it's hard to get a good shot. But the same thing where we pan around the battle to all the different fights going on at once. So the two of them end up fighting Shoveltron. Here she is using her rabbit kick to knock the thing down. I said how I like when they use all their powers, and they've done a pretty good job. But I think they've done the best job with her, because sometimes we see strength and speed from the other two, but she is always kicking. She is always jumping.
The jump is my favorite part. So the strength is cool.
Mhm.
It's not my favorite.
Harder
of their
to
ability.
demonstrate, I think.
Yeah, and the one thing I was a little bummed about is we didn't see a great exhibition of speed in this episode. When he was fighting the Tronics, I'm like, oh, can you please just run up and just beat them all really quick? That would be great.
Yeah.
But hers, every time, just that pause, I'm like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. And so, again, it would be great if they were all doing it, but they certainly haven't forgotten. And here's, again, a good example of them using communication. They're saying, hey, what's going on? You okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Even though he's like having trouble, but
Mm-hmm.
And so then I forget what he was doing here. Oh, he pins down Blue basically. But we cut from this action back to Scrozzle, who this I found very interesting because we haven't seen this happen. We haven't seen this happen before in this season, and very rarely, if ever, have we seen this in Power Rangers. I was trying to remember where he calls upon the beta. And I guess this is what I was saying. This seems to be the beta before it gets merged with anything. That's the normal thing. Then it gets merged with Shoveltron's DNA and it becomes the Gigatron or whatever. Once again, bringing in awesome, big, blasting down, showing the gravity. Even though it's daytime and we talk about how nighttime is cool, they're still showing the gravity of it and the people in the foreground. But the part that I don't remember ever, certainly not this season, but I don't remember seeing much before is, again, more shots of them just looking up and it looks awesome. We cut over, sorry, I have a lot of shots of him just looking awesome, and he comes in before anything else. We just see, this reminded me of like Godzilla or Ultraman or something, where it's just like wrecking stuff before anybody shows up.
Like a kaiju just going at it.
Right, and it's not like the battle, it's like he's just unchecked wrecking everything, which was, again, adds to the threat level. But we look down, and here's Shoveltron looking up at him. Because they use Shoveltron's DNA or signature or whatever to create him, but they both exist at the same time.
I know.
I was like, wow.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, you never see that. You blow him up, he gets big, and this is like, no, they're like totally different entities. You don't have to have one without the other necessarily, and like, it's like, is it that big a deal? No, but it's something new. It's just something I haven't seen before, and so I found it exciting.
I just thought of something, and then we got to look at chat, but one thing that you just made me think of with multiple existing at the same time, if they get enough Morphex, it would be kind of cool if they did something similar to Turbo, where they just are like, here's a bunch of monsters. You guys probably aren't going to win this fight. Go.
Right. I went to take a sip of water, so I wanted to put a one shot on you, and I put it a one shot on me. So I went, nope.
Hey, stay hydrated, kids.
Yeah, there we go.
Matt Kendall Clare said, hey, we're still here. I do have to say, I like the civilian fights against Robotrons. It doesn't make sense why they're doing them so much if the report was right about Hasbro needing to pay to recreate all of the Go Buster suits. I do have to say, I like to see the civilian fights.
Yeah.
I could see with the material seeming pretty different that the civilian fights in some ways cost more money, but in other ways save the integrity of the suits for longer. So I kind of see what you're saying with that payoff. And one thing I think
talking
as
about
well,
the pay to create the Go Buster suits or to create the villain suits?
I think all the above. I think
Okay.
they didn't have the Go Buster suits to go off of,
Oh,
and they had to
really?
make them new. Well, because it was in 2012 is when it premiered.
I know they start degrading over time, but I could see them redoing the hero, like the Ranger suits. But
Yeah.
like, you think they're recreating like the Shoveltron suit and stuff like that?
Honestly, they might. I
That
don't
would
know.
be so expensive because you only use it for one episode, and I don't know. I'm not as familiar with that report that you're referring to, but I guess if they had to build them anyway, though, let's say they had to build them. I agree with the Bigdawg here that if you have the suit, use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? Like, get your money's worth.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel that kind of like you said, we'll have to see how it goes based on what the initial reports were saying. And also, I mean, we saw a major shakeup initially of how they're presenting the show with
Right.
the way they're doing things behind the scenes. So we'll see how it goes. But Dolly Girl said, "Hey, I'm just listening."
Hi, Dolly.
Moving forward with kind of the three different things, having the Tronics, having the Shoveltron, having the Gigatron, picking back up from there. What were
Right.
your thoughts on how they allocated their resources in this?
I think it was great. I think again there was good strategy. And like once the Gigatron shows up, immediately the commander calls into Red and says like I'm
Mhm.
sending you crews, get on the Zord, like because he's the field commander, but she's the bigger commander, so it makes sense that he's splitting up resources, and she's like you need more resources, so here they come. So Cruz comes in, he does this crazy flip onto him, which makes no sense, but I love it. I love the bike too.
Yeah.
Going back to toys, apparently they've released a Cruz and a Smash figure. They haven't done Jax yet, but they're at a
Correct.
higher price point. These guys are like 10, they're at like 15. I didn't even know to look for them because I thought they were in Wave 2, but they might be in Target, Walmart, that kind of stuff now, and if not, they might be in the back if you're looking for them. I don't know if they're as good as the SH figure arts that have been previously released. I mean, probably not, but they're pretty cheap, and they might be a good alternative. They look pretty decent.
Here's the thing about Cruz specifically. Cruz does transform.
Yes. I think he's a bit of a parts former in the sense that part of it has to snap onto him and then off when he becomes the robot. Is how it
Correct.
looks now. Yeah.
I think that was a great choice,
Yes.
having not played with it, just because he looks in his robot form so much like the show
Agreed.
that being able to detach the other things, I think, was a smart idea. And I'm curious to see what Red looks like on him, which will be cool
Yes.
too.
And
then
it occurs to me that I probably want to get a Cruz,
yeah,
but I don't have Red in that line. I have the SH figure arts, and I will probably get the Lightning line. And now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Will the versions I have not fit on Cruz? Well, that's a problem for another day. But it looks cool as a motorcycle.
yeah, I agree.
Real quick, let me stop. We've caught up. We've been running a little long because we kind of had delays in the beginning. We've caught up to. I've finished the art in the up here, so I just want to show real quick large size. That's the Mercury Ranger, all finished up. My first Overdrive, and that again will be on sale at Power Morphicon Express, and then later on my Etsy store. So there you are, choked.
Speaking of Mercury Ranger, wasn't
Yes.
that actor recently a WonderCon?
Yeah, well, he at WonderCon, Scott Zillner, who runs Power Morphicon, had a booth there, and at his booth, and he has a show now, Toy Wizards, or it's not a show, it's a site, and I think they might have a podcast too, but it's like a toy review site called Toy Wizards. So he's selling toys, he's promoting Power Morphicon and promoting Toy Wizards. He's like all over the place. Like he had like 3 booths, and I've seen him have booths at like San Diego Comic-Con and places like that, and he'll have guests come and sit. So the actor that played Mercury, yes, was there for like a few hours one day, and then I think Brenny Mejia was there for a few hours one day, and then somebody else was there for a few hours one day. So it's sort of like a rotating chair of you could see a few people there, but I I don't know if this is his first time doing cons, Mercury that is, but I don't remember seeing him in the last couple years. So either he's new or he's just come back to it.
I feel like I saw him the first year you and I went to Morphicon, so not
Oh,
last year, but
okay.
2 years
So
prior.
that it's still been a few years. I
Yep.
just put up a slideshow above me now since the art is done. This is just a bunch of Power Rangers headshots I've done over the years.
Matt Kendall Clare said that's correct. Villain suits generally deteriorate around 5 years.
Right, because of all the foam and stuff, I guess. So
I
that's
think
crazy.
it may be one of those things where they look fine, but you can't like use them.
I know that in the first couple seasons of Mighty Morphin, they talked about how like the Goldar and the Rito suits were like disintegrating, where they'd had to shoot from the waist up, and like the butts were falling out and stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe they created it from scratch, or maybe they just sort of cleaned up, the pieces that were breaking and
Possibly,
sprayed them
yeah.
up, whatever.
Stay hydrated, bot. Welcome to SHBV5 mod. Can now type. Oh, nice. Okay. Sorry, I'm new to this whole Twitch thing. You can type apostrophe emote hydrate to toggle emote mode when sending hydration reminders.
Okay, well, I did some hydration there. Normally,
Nice.
there's some other things we could do in chat, but I have chatbot disabled, as I said before. So hopefully next week I will. Oh, wait. Are we gonna? Oh yes, I was worried I wasn't gonna be able to do next week because I'm going to Morphicon, but I will be coming home late Sunday night, so I will be around for Monday. So I also I keep going on these tangents. I apologize, but at Morphicon, if possible, I might stream some Twitch from there. So the Bigdawg won't be with me, and I won't be doing art. Well, but I might be able to show you my art setup, maybe pan around at the guests. I doubt I'll be able to interview anybody, but I'll try to get some footage there live on Twitch. And whether or not I could do that, I'll have some kind of YouTube video up as well that you can check out. And I'm Gazbot on YouTube for those that don't know. All right, so let's get back into the episode because we're hitting about an hour and a half here, so we gotta speed up a little bit. So his Zord comes out, and we see the sequence that we've seen before, but I love,
Bye,
again,
Ronnie
the scale.
Gunter. Sorry to interrupt. Ronnie Gunter's heading out.
All right, take it easy, Ronnie. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
As you were mentioning about the Zord coming in right away, I do like how we do get to see all the steps of him and Cruz locking with the Megazord, but it's still efficient enough of like, this has to be done, but we're still moving.
Right.
We gotta fight.
They're not going, isn't this amazing? Let's hold on it, even though we've seen it 3 times. I agree. And I also like, previously we've seen the Racer Zord, I think it's called. It's got a real generic name, as we talked about before. It came in and had like a sword where it kind of cut the enemy, and this time it pops out some guns on the side and starts firing. And again, it's just like it's like a car. It's not like he's gonna ram him or whatever. But he eventually turns into a robot. But on the way, he's like, "Okay, just start shooting, go!" yeah. So I dug that, and then we have he's like, "You ready to transform?" He's like, "Let's do it." We get the transformation, and the CGI is always tricky because I don't love CGI, but I understand it needs to be used. And overall, this series has used it better than ones in the past, where it's not.
Agreed.
They've used it judiciously and kind of mostly seamlessly. And this is an example where you see the quick transformation, and then immediately it's back to the suit, and that's a punch that I didn't get a good But like, is it 100% seamless? No. But for television, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now that being said, and there's just more again shots like up angles and cool sparks and smoke again. Great stuff showing the scale of the fight and how big they are. And so the Gigatron starts firing missiles, and they're like, he's going too fast. Let's fire some of our missiles back. What are they going to do? What do you think they're going to do? Oh, before I get into that, I love this cockpit shot. I've talked about this before, but in the cockpit, we see the communications. We see out the cockpit. It just makes it feel more like, oh, they're actually in a robot. They're actually in a vehicle. It ties it all together. Kind of similar like when you see them take the helmet off in the suit. It just makes it connected more. Same thing when we show a shot of the robot and then we see inside, different points of view. I don't know, it just ties it together really nicely. But so here, okay, tons of missiles. What are they going to do? Bigdawg, what are they going to do?
They're going to bring in the blaster to use the saber.
No, they're going to turn into a cheetah mode.
Oh.
Sorry, I thought I was setting you up for success there.
No, I did like actually. Is this the first time we've seen the cheetah mode?
I was trying to remember because we've seen it in the trailer, so we talked about it a while ago. I don't remember. I don't remember if this is the first time we've seen it.
I feel like it is, and if I'm wrong, Matt Kendall Clare will probably let me.
I thought it was the first time. If it's not the first time, it's weird that they made it such a highlight because I thought in the first battle they had the jackrabbit and the gorilla, and his was as a robot. So we've seen it because of the trailer and because of the opening. Like, we knew it existed, but I thought we had not yet seen it as in the show proper. But regardless, this was not my favorite CGI. Again, I've seen worse, but as much as I praise the CGI overall, some of the shots of the cheetah were not great. Not terrible, but it's again, they're kind of like average for other seasons. It's kind of like what I said about the mayor. Like, he's average for other seasons, but because this season's so good, like so.
Yeah.
And again, we're having that fight, but like you were talking about allocation of resources, we cut back to the other fight.
Mm-hmm. I will say about the cheetah, it reminded me a lot of the Wild Force Lion Zord.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. That's
like
not a bad
its
thing.
Presence, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's rare that we get a triple changer Zord. I think with Samurai they turn into the origami and then whatever else and then the Megazord. But this one, it's the car, the robot, the cheetah, and presumably part of a Megazord. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, obviously we know, but so it's a triple changer before it becomes a Megazord, which is nuts. And from what I understand from the Bandai Japan version, it actually could do all those transformations, and it was very expensive and very huge. And since Bandai is no longer in America is no longer just repurposing molds or whatever, I think what they're doing is they're having different versions. So they'll have a car that turns into a robot or a cheetah that turns into the Megazord. Like, there's not going to be one version that does everything, which I could live with because I would rather have versions that are more faithful to what it's supposed to look like, even if I had to buy 2 or 3 or just buy my favorite, than buy one that technically does everything, but it's a clunky, 1985 looking Transformer thing that doesn't quite look like it's supposed to. So
I was actually watching a lot of videos over the last week about a Springer from Transformers, mainly from the movie, where all the toys, regardless of who puts them out, there's always one mode that gets sacrificed, and that reminds me of this.
That happens,
Matt Kent McClare says, just to mention about Dwayne Cameron and Cons, Mercury Ranger. He was at the last 3 Morphicons. Yes, Gaz, you were correct about the Red Zord being called Racer Zord. Lol, another Gaz, April Fool's Day. And I'm pretty sure Defender is right. The Cheetah mode's first appearance was this past Saturday.
Thank you for double checking us. It's great. It's like you're like Power Ranger wiki on tap for us.
Yep.
Okay, so we get back to this fight. One thing I found kind of humorous was they're fighting, and then he Blue jumps back, and there's this huge laser blast, right? What stopped it? A table. It's like, and you see this in action movies where people do that to block bullets, and even then I'm like, would that really stop a bullet? But this huge blast, and he's not like, whoa, he's like, hey, we got to try something different. I'm like, that's a good table. What is that made out of?
Yeah,
Morphex tables. Okay, but they are communicating, which again I like. There are different spots, and so. And so she's like, I've got an idea. Her secret plan isn't much of a plan, but I guess it's just that he's not looking at her. So what does she do? She does her jump up, and she she lands and hits him with the sword, but again using her Jackrabbit ability, which I dig. And then once again we cut back to the other fight. Like, I love it. These fights are well done, but even if they were a little bit boring, they don't. Sorry, someone's at my door. They don't give us time to get bored because they're cutting between them. I don't know. I as much as this is why, like, when we nitpick things, you really got to take everything we see with a grain of salt, because I have so much love and appreciation for the way they're doing this.
Same. And the thing I like with the cutting is you're very focused on one specific point of danger. And then when they cut, you're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot there's a monster wrecking the city that this cheetah's fighting. Oh wait, this guy's using a table to block a blast. Okay. She jumped in it runs you all around, but not in a way where it's too hard to follow, but just oh shoot, I totally forgot that we still are invested in this other thing.
Absolutely. Yep, 100% agree. Now it's time for the Cheetah Blaster, though. You were trying to rush it before. They bring in the Cheetah Blaster, and I don't mind the Cheetah Blaster. That might be the other red figure. I kind of deliberately tried not to look at it. Okay, so it's Cheetah mode. That's fine. So maybe, as much as I talked about not needing another red in the basic line, maybe I'll break down and get the Cheetah mode, and then that one could go on the motorcycle, which doesn't make sense because he wouldn't be – whatever. I'm over.
One quick thing about the Cheetah Blaster that I appreciate is when they bring it in, at the very end, it has a very specific blue tip. And it lights up in your screenshot when it shoots. And when they sell the toy, what's there? A blue tip Nerf gun or a Nerf dart.
That's good.
To be even more show accurate, you're like, all right, well done.
Well done. Are you going to get the Cheetah Blaster?
Probably not.
Yeah, me either. I want to get the Morpher. Other than that, as far as like role play stuff, I'm most likely to get the Morpher if I'm going to get anything. But really, I usually just get the figures.
Yeah.
And with Ninja Steel, I didn't get very much at all. I got gold. I got 3 versions of gold, and I think that was all I bought. But I do have some Ninja stuff.
Mm.
We're getting off track here. So we cut back to these guys, and I like that he's like, let me get the Cheetah Blaster, and we cut back to them using their blasters. Again, just like good editing. And then this, we're talking about like, oh, I forgot about that. We got them fighting the small version, him fighting the big version in the background.
At the same time.
So good. Oh, I love it. And
Same.
but we still cut it. It doesn't play out the entire scene that way, and so we see him eat the big explosion, and then we cut back again. Here's like kind of, they don't say it in the season, but they might as well be going final strike, That's what we're going with. And then the double explosion, it's just so good. And now he says virus eliminated, I believe, is their catchphrase.
Like he said a catchphrase and it made me think of you, and I'm like, I'll be okay if we go with it.
I'm fine with it. And again, part of it is because there isn't a lot of catchphrases. There isn't a lot of joke. So if he's like virus eliminated, and hey, because they're reporting to someone, I don't think he's saying it to himself or to the team. I feel like he's calling the commander. Virus eliminated, and then she's like, "Great, come back to base." So no problem whatsoever with that. And then a nice hero shot again, showing the scale of the robot. That's an awesome shot that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Just like, it makes me think of like old Super Robot anime where like Mazinger Z is just like, and the city was safe, and everyone down below, yay. And then we cut back to Evil World, which I know is not the name of it.
Cyber Dimension.
I want to call it Evil World or Evil Zone. I want evil. How about Evil Cyber Dimension Zone World? Evil. There you go. That's
Zone of the bad guys that happens to be in the digital realm.
Evil digital, bad guy digital, evil fart
realm.
Okay, there we go.
Zone.
So we see Scrozzle, and he's talking to Evox, and he's basically like, with this, I'll be able to, some new version of the plan where he'll be able to get Evox out. And of course, Evox is a very one-note villain. Scrozzle and the avatars I like, Evox over time is going to have to step it up or be overthrown, because he's just like, I have no patience, get me out of here. And it's like, all right, you said that last episode. Right, I'm very impatient to get out of here. Okay, oh, you wouldn't like me when I'm impatient. Like, all right, enough, Snake, we get it. So I'm not. I don't hate him, but he's not doing anything special for me. But I do like, and I said this before, it seemed like those guys are going to go at each other, and here's further proof. We saw Scrozzle before kind of like, I don't know what their dumb plan is, and now they're spying on him. And he doesn't just say, hey, they got me this and I got an idea, but he literally is like, by the way, remember, it was me, not those avatars, trying to curry favor. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. And he's like, oh, you got something on the top of your head there. I'm going to spit it off. No, that's not what's happening. But it does look like he's about to spit on her, doesn't it? Like, dude.
The one thing about that, though, is because we talked about this before, that like it seems like a pretty intimate realm.
Yes.
I'm surprised he didn't peek around the one wall there is and go, all right, now that the coast is clear.
And then, he's just finalizing that little discussion. Then we get back to Grid Battle Force, and he's like, oh, I'm so sad, and I should have been a better boyfriend, and we don't care. And they're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, and they're like, oh, buddy, you sure fell for that trick. And he's like, yeah, I did. And, there was a couple good moments in here, but this didn't really help my reputation with the Bigdawg Defender very much.
True.
But I do like that he says, like, I miss her, and it's tough, but now that I got you guys, it's a little easier, which I think is an important moment that he sort of has them, even more than his mom, because she's like his mom, but she's his commander. They're like his, brother and sister, for lack of a better term. They're his friends. Yeah. They're, and then I guess that's it, except, wait a minute, nope. Oh, I was cutting ahead. I was going to go to the Ben and Betty. I don't know why, but this made me think of Zoe in the first episode. As just like, I'm just here. Like, this is like what Zoe would have been if she hadn't become a ranger.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Yellow flowers, there's a bunch of Valentines in the cargo bay or whatever that are coming for the rangers. But this comes to Zoe by name, and they have secret identities. So it has to be somebody that knows her secret identity, somebody in the base. So it has a little bit more weight to it. It's an actual secret admirer versus just like a generic fan mail.
Yeah.
So it has to be Nate. But his flowers were destroyed and lost in the battle. Did he sneak out to get new flowers?
Yes.
Okay, so
that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Also, I think because even before she was a ranger, she's still part of Grid Battle Force, and her mom's mentioned that she's there and all this. That's why she probably doesn't put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
But I agree to your alluding of like, oh yeah, like this clearly makes sense to all of us paying more attention, whereas she's like, oh, I wonder who gave me these awesome yellow flowers specifically to me.
Right. And so then now we cut to Ben and Betty, and I love his face. I don't know. He's looking at the flypaper, but he's like, "Oh, that's the best flypaper I've ever seen."
Oh, it looks like maple syrup.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want to lick it. And then she's up here on the ladder, and so they're looking for the bees. Again, great faces. Look at her. And here comes. Oh, they get fly swatter. So we all know where this is going. You know, they're
Yeah.
going to end up getting stuck to it. More CJB. I don't care. The CJB is stupid. Her face is great. And once again, we talk about this, having the extra action over the credits. And I like that this bit of business isn't my favorite comedy we've seen from them. It's not
Yeah.
terrible, but it's not in the middle of the episode. It's sort of like they were bookending the beginning and the end. So
Yeah.
if you don't like the comedy at all, and I know there are people that hate all the comedy, and that's fine.
yeah.
It doesn't affect the episode. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You could just start it late and end it early, and it won't matter. So that's a kind of smart. Even though the other episode where they actually saved Red was fun in in the middle.
Yeah.
They seem to be picking where to put the comedy at good times.
Yeah, and I think they're testing it out too. Of like, in the bike episode, I liked their comedy in the middle. In this episode, a little less necessary, bookending it. That's
Right.
fine. The one thing that kind of bugged me, nitpicking again,
Yeah.
is they're like, "Oh, hey, a bunch of stuff for the Rangers is in the bay," and then they walk in, they're just on the flypaper. My first thought is,
Where's
"Oh,
all
do
the
you guys
stuff?
need- Yeah, where's the stuff? By the way, do you need help getting down?" Like,
Well, I assume that happens a minute later after the camera stops. So oops, I skipped the thing
Yeah.
there. So
but
they
more, where is the stuff?
right. So they run in and they get stuck to the paper, as we expected. And then we have a CGI-B, which actually doesn't look so terrible right there. It looks worse when it was
Mhm.
flying. And then this kind of, I mean, it's just for joke purposes, but she's like, I have a B too. And it's like, wait, there's two Bs now? All right, fine. But what I like is they're stuck to the paper. And this goes back to liking their character more than I like the comedy. Sometimes I like the way they're characterized.
Mm-hmm.
The Rangers come in to look for their presents. And they go, no, the bees are gonna get out. They don't say help us. They don't say we're embarrassed. They're like the bees, like that's
Yeah.
like that's why they're good characters, because they take everything seriously, even if they do dumb
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
They're all about the mission. Don't let those bees get away. And it's even though that wasn't my favorite comedy, I like how it ended.
Yep.
And there's the bees got away, and then these guys laugh a little bit. But because we've seen in other episodes that they do care, I imagine them going, "Hey, do you need a hand?" And I think
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
Well, also before when they were launched into the water, they're like, "Hey, those were our friends. Now we're really gonna fight
Right.
you."
Yes, they could laugh at him a little bit here and there, and they've established they actually do care and will help him if they need to. And then it ends with Power Rangers. There we go. So that was the end of the episode. So I want to kind of wrap this up because, like I said, we've been going pretty long. I've been enjoying it, but we just started so late. So check chat, see if there's any last minute questions, comments, or whatever.
Matt Kendall Clare says, "More like a Power Rangers memory or knowledge android." Lol. I don't think you should sell yourself so short. You are a vital piece of information for this
You're
stream,
our,
and I appreciate you.
you are our Alpha 5 or our Nate Silva or our
If you prefer hip hop, you can be Alpha 6.
Oh, there you go. So, like for myself, as I said, this coming weekend, if you live in Texas or near Pasadena, I recommend going to Power Morphicon Express. I will be there, so if you come by, come say hi. Great, check out what I got going on. But it's going to have a bunch of Rangers that haven't been at shows in a while, and it's going to have a couple Sentai actors, Geki and May from the original Zoo Rangers, which was Power Rangers. I don't know how much it costs, to be honest, because I paid for, it's different for me because I paid for a table, but it's worth checking out, and I'm sure there will be social media updates from lots of people, myself included, so you could check me out. I'm everywhere. I'm Gazbot. On Instagram, I have 2 T's, but you could generally find me pretty easily. What was I going to say? I don't know. You say something.
In regards to the show specifically. What I will say
yes.
you first.
No, I just want to sum up and wrap up what we thought of the show as a
Okay.
whole, which I think is what you're about to do, so go for it.
2 things. One, kind of piggybacking what you were saying about Morphicon Express from a fan perspective, what I will say is Gaz done a great job of really cranking up the Ranger art as of late. So if you haven't checked the Instagram in a while, there's a lot of new prints in preparation for the show. A lot of the actors are going to be there. I think you have a print for every actor. Is that right?
Well, thank you for the commercial. I thought you were going to talk about something else. I technically do.
Okay.
A lot of what I do are 9x6 headshots, and I have a 9x6 headshot for every actor that's going to be there. And some of them, like Johnny Young Bosch, he has 3 helmets. I have all 3 of his helmets. So I have at least one for everybody, and I think for most of them, I have all their different incarnations. I just finished a team set. Previously, I had Mighty Morphin and Megaforce were the only full teams I had. Now I have Turbo and Zeo full teams as well. and they're not available through Etsy yet. They're going to be available at the show first, and then afterwards, whatever I have left, I'll put on Etsy. The only actor that I don't have a headshot for is, I'm going to get his name, Kieran Morgan, I believe, who does the voice of Goldar and Magna Defender.
Gotcha.
I really wanted to do a Magna Defender. I just ran out of time because I have to get it done, send it to the printer, get it back before the trip, and I just didn't have time. I do have a Goldar, but it's not the 9x6. It's a little bit bigger. So technically I have a piece for him. It's just not going to fit in with the rest. But other than him, and even again, I do have a Goldar. Other than him, everybody has at least one headshot. Some people have multiple headshots.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Matt Kendall Clare says it was meant to be a Hyperforce reference from what they said earlier.
Oh, okay.
And they appreciated the plug. As a whole,
yes.
For this episode, which is that where you were going? Or
yeah.
Okay. I really enjoyed it. I thought Roxy was a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's me saying I liked her from the get-go. This put her above Blaze, and normally I like the Red Ranger kind of arch nemesis, but she's awesome. The yellow, both Rangers and villains of this season, I'm surprised at how much I like them versus the other Rangers. Traditionally, they're more secondary to some of the leads of the team. They get more screen time for better or worse, but this season, I feel like they're just kind of flipping the script on us in the best way.
I agree, with the exception that I don't normally go for the Reds, and I wasn't surprised at all about Zoe. I had a good feeling from the beginning, just seeing the actress talking on social media and what she was doing. I basically it was unfair of me, but I expected big things from her, but she delivered. And then Roxy, again, I already liked, but it's kind of funny because this was Ravi's Blue's character development episode, but it was also kind of one for Roxy, even though she just had one last episode. So Blaze is kind of due for one because Roxy's had two in a row, and I like Blaze, but yeah, Roxy's definitely stealing the show a little bit, so he needs to step it up. Overall, I think this was a very good, solid episode, and so far I don't think we've really had a filler episode. And what I mean by that is, arguably it's filler because it's a monster of the week and whatever, but all of them have forwarded the meta plot in some way. All of them have talked about the people that are in stasis, or introduce a new element or something, and we still haven't seen a Megazord, which is awesome.
I know.
4 episodes in,
so
and we haven't
good.
seen. I love it. I'm gonna be so excited. It's gonna be the difference between here's the Megazord and oh my gosh, finally the Mega. It's yeah. I wasn't planning on giving every episode a grade, but I did that last week, and I kind of want to do it this week. I think I want to give it an A-, is what I want to give it.
I will as well. I will say the only thing that would make me give it a B or a B+ would be focusing too much on Blue.
That's that's because you don't. But you need to focus on all the different characters.
Here's the thing, though. When I say that, I'm trying to take my Blue bias out of it.
Right.
Because clearly I have one.
Yes.
And more this was, as you mentioned, partially his episode, and I felt like it fell flat in the regard of trying to propel him, and more just made us look at him and go, okay, I get that you're going for Roxy, and you got duped by the Avatar, but with that in mind, I don't like you any more or less based on what you were doing. Whereas when we looked at the Yellow episode, obviously I'm biased because I like her more,
right.
We got to see her shine against the villains, whereas for him, he was involved, but I didn't really see him take that kind of plunge or initiative with the bulldozer monster thing.
I agree. When it came to the battle, we didn't get as much. But I do think whether you thought it was successful or not, they did develop his personality more. They had him break rules, which he wouldn't normally do. They had him follow his heart, which he had deliberately not done in the past. So he did develop as a character. Maybe you didn't think it'd work, but that's what they were trying to do. And while, yes, you're right that he didn't have that shining warrior moment, I don't think he needed it as much because he was the warrior from the beginning. She was not. Yeah. So she needed to prove herself there a little bit, arguably, whereas he is more about the personality. I think the way they did it makes sense. You might not have liked how it worked out, but
okay, that's fair.
It's weird because going back to the episode you're talking about, that was an episode which I think I said I gave it an A or an A-, I forget now, and that was an episode that was more uneven, and there were some really awesome parts and some parts I didn't love as much, and so I averaged it out. That said there were some A+ moments and some B-, C moments. So together I gave it I want to say an A- or an A. Yeah. This one I say A- straight through. There was no really bad moments. There was it was just good. It was a solid, good episode. It wasn't filler. They developed some stuff. They had some good shots, and I have no real complaints. but it wasn't like the best episode ever seen, so it can't be an A or an A plus. But like, if this is like an average episode, it's above average for the history of the franchise. If that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah. One thing that I was thinking of toward the end of the episode breakdown that we were talking about is with the avatars knowing what Scrozzle's doing and kind of seeing how the Gigatrons are made. Do you think we have the possibility of finally getting true villain Megazords?
I hadn't even thought about it, to be honest. Well, I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about it in that exact verbiage, that exact context. But I had commented earlier on how the Gigatrons are about the same size as like the Racer Zord when he's in robot form, and how I was saying if the three Zords, the Hero Zords, combine, and potentially maybe even more down the line, as happens in a lot of shows, but if they combine. It even if it doesn't get taller, which it should, but even if it just gets bulkier and wider, it seems like all of a sudden Gigatron's like it wouldn't be a fair fight. And not that I'm against good just winning, because there's like 30 more episodes or whatever. It can't be that simple. So I had said that they're going to have to up their game somehow. Whether that means they just create a bigger version, or whether that means it's actual like forming into Megazords, I don't know. I would like to see that, sure, if there were like Avatar versions that created something, but once we start getting Hero Zords combining into Megazords or something, even like an Ultra Zord, we're going to have to get bigger enemies. Not just more powerful, but physically bigger. And if that resulted in like evil Megazords, I would like that, of course. I would like
One thing I'm thinking of in terms of like how they'll introduce a Megazord is because, as you said, it should be bulkier and have all these attributes. I think in some ways it'll have a lot of pluses, in some ways be kind of weaker than the other Zords individually. I think honestly it'll just be a huge tank. So if they do have a Gigatron that's fast, that'll be kind of the way of them introducing like we can't always become a Megazord because of X reason. Like it has the shield that we know of, and it won't be as fast as a Racer Zord kind of going through and cutting, but it is more powerful obviously because of the combined efforts.
I can see that. I mean I think I'd be happy with any version of it because, like you said, we don't get that very often, if at all. Yeah. And so, and going back to the Psycho Rangers, like the avatars have the potential to be the new Psycho Rangers, to either be as good or potentially better, or at the very least introduce them to a new generation of fans that didn't know who the Psychos were. Yeah. If they get Zords or a Megazord, that could put them over the Psycho Rangers. I'm not saying it will definitely, but like if they end up being roughly as good as the Psycho Rangers, but have a Megazord, by default they're going to be better, so. But I could pontificate about this forever, but we're coming up on 7 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody once again for checking out the live stream. I want to thank you if you're watching it on YouTube later. If you enjoy what we're doing, please share it around, let people know, because we'd like to keep doing it. And, I'm going to buy some more RAM. And, we'll try to – I've been working on a new intro, but time is a factor. So the more people watch, the more people share, the more traction this gets, the more effort we could put into it. So if you like it and you let us know and you share with other people – we're going to try to make it better and better. So regardless, thank you very much for checking us out. I've been Gazbot Knight, and this has been...
the Big Dawg Defender.
That's right. And may the power protect you.
May the power protect you.